And yeah, she'll be taking notes outside as well. And then she has to take her kid to volleyball here in a bit, so she might cut out early depending on how long we go.
Yeah.
All right, see you, Brittany.
Bye.
Mr. David Stig Hansen. I got mine too. Boom.
Boom. I think
Cosmic
black
Summit.
looks good. Black looks really good. Nice to see you. My name is David Stig Hansen, but you can call me Stig. And where's the camera? There it is. I don't want to look like not look at the camera. So I get a few people try to call me Stig Hansen. That's my grandfather. My full name's David, so you can call me David. But hey, there's a lot of Daves in the room already, so I figured call me Stig. And
perfect. So yeah, do your friends call you Stig?
Or not really. Not the old friends. Sorry. You know what? I got a little bit of asthma and it got a little choked up. Hold on.
You're good.
So growing up, I would get called Dave. And the funny thing about that is people would say Steve, and I'd be like, no, Dave, and David. And so I got confused with Steve quite a lot, but not Stig. That's different, right? That's my middle name. And it's my real middle name, too, by the way. That's my grandfather's first name, and Danish tradition is you. Actually, I think my mom got it wrong. I think she was supposed to put my dad's first name as my middle name, I think, and that would have been Bent. So I would have been Dave Bent Hansen. So I think I like Stig better. And I signed my work Stig. I sign paintings. I do paint. But I have a website, which is David Stig Hansen. And if you want to see more art, go to David Stig Hansen. I'm trying. See, the thing is that it gets collected on the Internet Archive forever, right? Your websites are out there forever. So I figured I want to get my art up there. So I finally did it. So I got all my artwork up there, and I don't want to say all of it, but a lot of it, and some of my bigger pieces. And I probably want to go into retirement, like painting, and trying to sell those paintings. So
very cool. And so I love the. I didn't realize you've been watching your channel, and I didn't realize you painted that wrist shot structure behind you. That's
I had to give it a try. I'm not 100% happy with it. Which way is it? Am I mirrored? I don't think I'm mirrored. That's good.
No, you're good.
I'm not 100% happy with it, but I wanted to kind of get it to a finished point. And if I ever painted it again, I don't know. It's not something I really enjoyed painting because looking straight down at the earth isn't really my thing. I love landscape, and I'm doing portraits. You can go to my website later. I'll show you if I share my presentation for Cosmic Summit. It's got a lot of stuff in it regarding the subject matter at hand. This is actually, believe it or not, this is actually from Larry David. Is he the comedian?
Yes.
Larry David, his Curb Your Enthusiasm. This was in his apartment throughout the series. So I saw it several times. This is just kind of a sketch. It's not really the finished product. But I was trying to do a big one. And I actually I gave it away, and I wanted to start over. But maybe that's the only one I'll ever really finish right there. So who knows?
Well, Brittany just sent us the art page. I'll pull it up really quick if you want to talk about it.
Sure, yeah, talk about it. I mean, a lot of people know me. There's actually my resume is under, I think it says resume up in the corner on my website, David Stig Hansen. And then there's the Atlantis page, or I think I put history, or I think I just put Atlantis.
There's and then there's Atlantis. Oh, there's the comedian, famous comedian.
Was it tough getting George Carlin to sit still for long enough to paint him like that? How did you manage?
No, I bet you if you search Google for images of him, you might find that exact same sitting.
That's funny.
Yeah, unfortunately, never met him when he was alive. I've met a few celebrities. Believe it or not.
What's his name? Napoleon Dynamite.
Yeah, I was trying to do. It was kind of a pop culture, pop art thing I was doing, and I lived in Taiwan 25 years, so I wanted to sell art in Taiwan. You know, Taiwanese don't really buy art like Americans buy art. Like I could sell any of these paintings for $100 easy. Some of them are quite big, so maybe $1,000. But in Taiwan, no, you're going to be sitting on your art for a very long time. I had to basically give a lot of my art away in Taiwan when I left. And I was trying to do like a little pop art thing. And I like bright colors. There's the same painting before I finished it.
Yeah,
right there. Right. Kind of small.
Yeah. I think it's pretty cool.
Yeah, I've
you
been
meant,
trying to do more.
go ahead. Go ahead.
I've been trying to do more portraits. The portraits are at the top, and I've been trying to do more of those. Yeah, that image right there is really important to me because that to me has got to be a quarry for sure. I'll
Yep.
I can definitely show you where that is on Google Earth, and I call it the serpentine or the snake. And what it is it's pure rock, right? If you zoom in on it,
Mhm.
probably what I could do is give you the link to my presentation. And by the way, I would love it if I could let you control that. You want to try that link, and then you'll see those. I don't want to go straight to them yet. You can stay on that
Yes.
page for a second. There's a few
If you want
things.
to email us the presentation, I'd love for you to do the one you did at the Cosmic Summit, if that's what you're talking about.
Can I just give you the link? It's a real easy link, tinyurl.com.
Yeah, that's great. That's a good idea.
You'll go straight to it. It'll be a live, unless you don't do Google Drive and you have to log into Google Drive for
No,
some reason.
we got Google Drive. Don't worry, we'll take care of it.
Yeah, it's a tinyurl.com. Then slash Stig, that's my middle name, CS for Cosmic Summit 2025. That's STIGCS 2025.
Just FYI,
And that,
I wanted to say really quick that we are actually live on David Stig Hansen's YouTube. So anybody who's watching, I'm Dave, and that's my co-host Mike.
really?
This is Mike and Dave's Multiverse. We're actually doing a taped interview as well, so we're going to release this interview later. But we're live on your channel, so let's just roll with it, right?
Okay, all right. Let me just go over there and make sure everything's set right because, first of all, I want to be monetized. And then now that we know that you're live on my channel, since I do have 12,000 subscribers, I don't know how many people are watching. Probably one, probably
There's
zero.
two.
You know, there's two.
Yep.
We'll get. I'll share this on Twitter right now. That's why I wanted that thumbnail. But let me just really quick get a shout out of your channel. It's Mike and Dave's Multiverse
Yes.
on what is it? On YouTube?
We're on YouTube,
X.
Spotify, Rumble.
Instagram, TikTok, Spotify, Rumble, you name it. We tried to upload it when we get a chance. It might be
I
a
got
little
a
late
little
getting in the Rumble and TikTok type of channels.
All right, now let me do one more thing. I'm going to share this on Twitter,
Maybe
and
we
that
should go
way
live,
we'll
too.
have the opportunity to get more people watching. What did you say?
Mike, you want me to open up our channels too? Or just
Or
go
if you
like
want
the
me to
same thing?
stop this, because if you want to have more control, we didn't make any agreements. I don't want to force you into doing it. I could also stop this live stream. I'm not picky.
Brittany says do it. What do you
Okay,
think,
let's do
Mike?
it. Let's give you more viewers. I'm going to share this on Twitter. Let me
I'm
just do
gonna
that. I
open
have a
this
way to do
live
it real
on
quick.
no, not Instagram. Yeah, screw it. And then we'll also tape it for an interview later as well.
Yeah, and I can always take this down and edit it if that's something that's necessary. Like if I accidentally expose myself.
I'm not that worried about it.
I'm not worried about it either. YouTube doesn't really get mad anymore about nudity. No,
You
I
good
want to
with
be a
this,
stand-up
Mike?
comedian next.
You're
Say
cool
that
with
again?
this? I'm just double checking Mike's good with this.
Yeah.
He didn't actually say anything.
Yeah.
Yeah, I want to make sure
Um,
everybody's cool with it. Why am I looking at this South Park picture? This is stupid. Okay, there we go. Okay, I must have. That is very strange. Live now is what I said, and it got a stupid meme. So let me try that again. Live now. All right, now we're going to be shot on Twitter, and I'm going to just do a little. I grabbed your YouTube, and that will give you promotion. So that is now posted on Twitter. Hopefully, we can get a few more viewers, and now I'll pay attention to you again. Like I said, I want
Appreciate
you to have control. I want you to have control. So later on, if you want me to take that down or something, we can do it. And
let's just.
also sharing my page and showing it, the host loses control. And I want to kind of go with you guys. So I'm now going to just answer your questions. And you have my presentation. You can show whatever you want in that presentation.
Mike, do you have that presentation? Do you have it? I got it in the Google
no.
Docs. Yep.
I do not right now.
I don't
just
mind
gonna
if the
say
world
thanks.
has it. I want the world to have this information, and I'm going to
I
put
got
it in the
it.
chat too. I'll put it in my YouTube chat as well.
I got it. So when we're ready to talk about it, we can.
Okay.
I'll pull it up. What were you gonna say, Mike?
Sorry about that.
Hello.
What were you gonna say, Mike?
Oh yeah,
Sorry,
it was
Mike.
great. It was great meeting you at Cosmic Summit, man. That's why it's good to get on and stream today. We want to chit chat a little bit about that kind of stuff, and
Okay, yeah.
appreciated your little flat earther expose that you put on YouTube. Just want to let you know that we watched that. Me and Dave try to stay keen.
Flat Earther
Yeah,
expose.
yeah. Like you did a little like 2 to 3 minute blurb, kind of showing what's up with that.
I think it's a deflection. You know, when I was a kid, okay, I'm 57, right? I'm 57. Let me
And
look at our chat so I can see us. Yeah. So I'm not touching anything. I'm giving you full attention. Maybe my drink. Yeah. So back when I was a kid, we heard about the Flat Earth Society, and there was even a TV commercial. It was not advertising flat Earth, but it was the guy was the head of the society. He's an old man. He must be long gone by now. And he was like, "I believe the Earth is flat as a pancake." And you must have seen something I did a while ago. I mean, like literally 6 years ago. And I just basically said it was flat. It was what's her name from a female channel. I forgot the name that did it. Right? That video you're talking about.
yes.
And what was her name? Anyway, she kind of changed.
Yeah.
I used to love her channel. She kind of changed it. It's a little bit different. She had a lot of stuff. Cart ruts. The first time I ever saw cart ruts was on her channel, and I even big loud boom, sonic boom.
Mm-hmm.
Where are you located at? You're in.
We're both in Georgia. I'm in north
Okay.
of Atlanta, and Mike's in Columbus.
Okay, and you guys know Tyrone Ellington?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah,
We're
he's
good
in
buddies
Georgia
with
as
us.
well. Okay, cool. Well, I just did a live stream with him. But back to the flat Earth. When I was a kid, I got cut off from the sonic boom or whatever it was. But anyways, yeah, I'm not into flat Earth. I'm not into stuff. Okay, look, if we're in the Matrix, I don't even want to know. I think I'd probably take that blue pill, and just go back to work. But the truth is I was in that Matrix, and the reason why I'm no longer, I feel I can't take that. I have to choose the red pill is the Google Earth and what I see from that. The Rashad structure, and I went there 3 times, right?
Yes.
The Rashad structure, that's one thing, but the other side of it is what happened before then. And I found a lot of stuff pointing straight at ancient mining, quarrying, water walls, long transport roads, all over the Sahara Desert. So next to the Rashad structure around there. And the only reason why you might want me to share my desktop is if you want me to show you something on Google Earth. It'd probably be the fastest way. But everything else, I've tried to take screenshots and put it in that presentation as clearly as possible. Cosmic Summit, though, that's what I think was what I changed the subject on. It was awesome meeting you guys at Cosmic Summit. And that was probably the best part about it was to meet all these new people and connect with them. I met Tyrone right there with you,
Yes.
Mike, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Dave, we had food together, didn't we?
Yes, we ate wings together. Yes.
Delicious wings.
Very good. That little cafe outside of the main room was actually my spot. No offense to George Howard, I just don't like large buffets, which everyone rushes over to and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And so I was using that cafe as my spot to kind of get away a little bit. And then so it was nice to meet you quickly. And then we were able to eat some wings together because I hadn't had a chance to talk to you before that. So you had fun, though? That was your first time at Cosmic Summit or what?
Yeah, it was. I loved it. It was great. I mean, okay, I want to be honest. The panels were kind of confusing when I wanted to go see Robert Schock, but I had to be in my own panel. And so the main hall on the left and the right, the yin and the yang, that was a little bit kind of disappointing because I want to see everything. And so a show like that, I think I guess there's a place for that. And yeah, I think that if I were speaking, a lot of people don't want to believe, trust me, a lot of people still don't think the Rashad structure was Atlantis. And does it have to be the exact concentric circles anymore? I think we can talk about that later and keep talking about Cosmic Summit. But yeah, in the panels I was in, they changed, and I really wanted to get Graham Langdon up with us, especially in the Explorers Club and in the Atlantis debate. I don't think he really cares much about that. But the thing is he was there in the room, and then he got escorted out because they checked as he was a vendor, and he didn't really. Yeah, and so he didn't really think, okay, I have to pay for this. And unfortunately, he could have been my guest speaker's guest, right? So it was a little bit disappointing there. But like I said, awesome people. I love Dan Richards and
Yes.
who else? So many other things, and Matt Beal, and there's so many things we could talk about. The SAR skins,
And that's
and
awfully bold of you to flash that up. How did you manage to steal? There's only one solid gold Egyptian base in the entire collection. And my understanding is you carted off with it. How'd you get it?
you know how I got this. And by the way, I bet you also have one. I love the black one that I just saw, and
yeah, that was one of my favorite parts of Cosmic Summit was that Matt Bell had brought, I've been calling him Beal Bell. Matt Bell had brought vases, and then his lovely wife, Crystal, was selling these replicas off to the side. And so this is what I got this one. I want to build a shelf behind me so I can put my books and my little things like this. But yeah, it was fun, man. And I really enjoyed the Atlantis debate. You were kind of a comedian up there, which was fun. Did you? What was that experience like, David?
Well, okay. So, like I said, it was a little confusing. The panel didn't have a lot of. I expected to be kind of asked a lot of questions. And we're talking about Atlantis debate. So, the Explorers Club was the previous day, and I was expecting to be asked a lot of questions about stuff like the Rashad structure trip. And it didn't happen that way. So I showed a little bit of this presentation. And so the next day, I tried to keep it on focus with the Plato stuff. But unfortunately, Michael Donlan, I didn't know he was going to be there. And he had the Atlantica film that he put up. And if you don't know it, and you guys saw it, I mean, you know that was a great film, right?
Tremendous film. Yes, we can't wait to see the future episodes.
We talked to him actually last week, too. Got an episode coming out with Michael Donlan.
Oh, good. Weeks, so, that's great to know. And I'm sorry to spring this on you. Like I said, if you change your mind after we're done, I'll just cut this so you can do what you want to do.
You're good, my friend. You're good.
Yeah, the more the merrier. And with the viewers, that is, right? And we should. I have all my notes here, and I do want to show you. And this is the first time I've ever shown my audience. I've been working a lot on this room. I put up these panel lights. I redid the whole room here, cabinetry. I'm still working on it. It's still under construction. The other room in there has a bunch of stuff under construction. So I'm in my kind of a new studio environment right here, and it might have to change too. But like I said, I'm a polymath. I paint, I do construction. I just taught myself electricity. I really am proud of the switches in here, the way I can turn on these lights. And I've all my whole life I've known plumbing and framing, but I never really crossed that electricity or electrician or wiring threshold. So hey there, Tyrone's in the house.
Yeah, what's up, Tyrone?
Yeah, that's why So anyways, the polymath thing has also got an ADHD thing. So before that Atlantis debate, I was up all night, and actually Tyrone was giving me some good ideas for that, but I didn't have a chance to. It wasn't really a debate. Let's be honest. A debate has an intro for each side. Two sides, two people, not 4 or 5. Suddenly we had like 5 people on the stage. And also I think that others weren't really aware of what was going to go on. So I didn't have my fair chance to give the presentation I wanted to give. And here, this presentation, that's why I'll share the link, because with the ADHD, I am very quick to change the subject. That's why you guys got to slap me around and make sure I stay on. You can interrupt me at any time, put it that way. And I think the main point on that is that the Atlantis debate, I had my notes, and I picked on Edward Casey in the beginning, and the audience didn't like that. And they lashed out, right? That one guy said, "Hey, I thought we had open minds here." Well, and that's one thing that I was going to say earlier. And I think I interrupted you or interrupted myself. I think that it was about the flat Earth, and I think Cosmic Summit is more focused on science. That's why some of the things that I have to say in this presentation might not be met very well by the alternative history group. Also gatekeeps a little bit, if you know what I mean. They have to.
Of course, yeah, of course. I think that sometimes they gatekeep just as much as the academic community. Some people might hate on me for saying that, but they're two different clubs. You got to belong to one of them.
The same thing with like specialists and experts. We were talking the other day with somebody about how to make it in the academic world, you have to specialize in something because you only have time to get your PhD in one subject. the alternative community
Right.
turns around and does the same thing. They say, well, so and so is the experts on this particular thing or that particular thing, and try to point you to somebody and say they're the authority on whether it's this or that. So it's human nature. It's human nature a little bit.
I think the
For
whole
sure.
education system's a scam. I think that it's a kind of a bigger part of the whole government controlling. I know that education's in the uh, Constitution, but I think that the Department of Education. I almost, believe it or not, I'm not into politics at all. I'm not a Trump supporter. I'm not a Biden. I don't care. I think party politics is part of the problem. Party
Yeah.
politics has ruined our opportunity for good leadership, and uh, and so it's not about that. But I kind of was kind of thrilled. Do we still have a Department of Education? It's kind of weird to think that Trump actually deleted or is trying to delete that department. I don't think it's possible. But anyways, I think that education. I got a master's in business, and the whole question is like you said, you can only go to school for. You don't want to go there your whole life. I was just watching X-Ray Girl. Did you meet her?
Yeah, I got to interview her a couple weeks ago as well. So that interview is actually dropping on Friday. I wanted to say quickly, for those of you who don't know what the heck's going on, we were going to interview David, Mr. Stig Hansen today, and we just decided to go live randomly. We normally do our live stream on Thursday. So if you're new to Mike and Dave's Multiverse, because we're paired right now with David Stig Hansen's channel, we drop interviews every Friday. We do a live stream every Thursday, and we're hanging out with David. So we're really
You
really
guys interviewed
appreciate
everybody.
this.
You interviewed Randall Carlson right away,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
And who else did you get?
A bunch of people. We got kind of lucky, kind of early to get make friends with George Howard, and then our producer Brittany started reaching out to all these people who were going to be speaking at Cosmic Summit. So we ended up doing like 9 episodes. We called Cosmic Monday. We're releasing episodes on Monday, and we got Danny Hillman, Chris
There you go.
Cottrell.
Don't forget to
Um,
mention each accomplishment with one of those guys. Danny Hillman was, I always can never pronounce it. Ganun Padang.
Yep.
Yes, Ganoon Padang, and he was actually one of he was one of my favorite moments. I'll keep it to Tyrone was there, Mike was there.
Mhm.
We had a really nice moment with Danny at Cosmic Summit, just like the 4 of us. It was really cool. Some of my favorite moments. We're going to be interviewing him again in about a month with he's got some new information that I don't know yet regarding Gunung Padang, the site in Indonesia that's potentially a 30,000+ pyramid. So we're pretty stoked about that. But yeah, we started our channel, Mike, in October, and it's been going pretty good so far. So.
Yep.
Awesome. And thanks for having me here, even though we're going live on my channel too. It's you were the host of this, and you have control of that presentation. Where do we go next here? I mean, do we talk about Atlantis or do we talk about Cosmic Summit?
I want to talk about you, David.
I have a couple questions about you. Okay, and thank you. But you got Danny Hillman. George Howard is the organizer of the event.
Yep, he was
and
on the
also
show.
Connected to the younger Dryas from
Mhm.
his Carolina Bay. Who else did you interview? Did you get Robert Scott?
We did. Mike, tell him what happened while I pull up the list here.
We had a little technical difficulty on that one. Some of the audio was rendered unrepairable, so we were able to release a portion of it in a montage form. The entire, like the full length one, was we had audio issues.
Which was extremely disappointing for me. I've been following the guy for a long time, and I was super stoked about the interview. And unfortunately, we weren't able to release it. He's a proud man, and he didn't want anything going out that looked like crap. And I totally agree. And so we actually interviewed him and Captain Ulysses, his wife, and just weren't able to release it. But we'll get another one. We did Mark Young with the Younger Dryas Impact Hypothesis and the Comet Research Group. We did one with Mark Young.
Yep.
Who else did we do? Danny Hillman.
Adam Young.
Dynastic Bases. Yeah. We did Brian Corey Dobbs. Did you meet Brian Corey Dobbs, Stig?
It's not ringing a bell. Was he a panelist?
He was a featured guest. He produced and created a movie called Blue Planet Red. It was about Mars. Josh the Ancient says, "What's up, Stig?" I don't know if you remember him from Cosmic Summit.
The picture is kind of small, but I'll have to take another look. How you doing, Josh?
Yeah, and so
where is he right now? If you remind me what state he's from or where he is, I might do better.
California, and he's on TikTok. So
okay.
If you're watching the stream today, follow Josh the Ancient on TikTok. Look for some of his footage from Cosmic Summit that we were on.
I've been looking for more. I want to see some footage. I didn't get my private live stream link, so I don't know if I even have access to it right now.
I think it's in the old emails. I think we all have access to it. Like if you just went back and tried to log in, I think we have all the.
Okay, I'll have to double check all that. Yeah, I definitely want to see the whole Atlantis debate one more time. I experienced it, but I haven't gone over it. But it's all right, When you're
I wanted
there.
to ask before we get into your presentation about the wrist shot structure. I wanted to ask first. I wanted to stick with Cosmic Summit a little bit and just ask, what did you think? You mentioned you enjoyed Atlantica, the premiere of,
sure.
And what did you think of, Cadiz in Spain being possible?
It's 100% accurate. But the only thing is, and this is where I'm not going to try to say he's being tricky in a bad way. He's just trying to promote his findings. He also does several episodes of the series that are not released yet. And he actually got tight, and I tried to go back to the link and get a screenshot of those walls. I had the access to that in episode 3. It was redone for what you guys saw. I don't know if you had access to episode 3 or not, but I did. But I went back later and it had been removed, and no access for episode 3 anymore. And it's too bad because I wanted to grab those arcs because I think they're very similar to, and I will eventually get those. I think they're very similar to some that I can show you all over the world. I think it's like the number one thing. But Atlantis as well, the story, Plato points right at Cadiz. The first time he mentions the Pillars of Hercules, he talks about it's an island bigger than Libya or Asia combined, but by definition, that's not an island. That's a continent. Okay, so these are Plato's words. And in the Atlantis debate, I picked on Edward Casey and Ignatius Donnelly right away because these guys were a politician and Casey was a psychic. Now, I'm not saying he was a bad psychic. There's a lot of very interesting things he came up with. But to point it out in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean isn't one of them, in my opinion. So I think that Plato points right there. So what Michael showed was very accurate, very, very accurate. And I've been looking in that area. I didn't know about Michael or his video or his research until literally when I arrived. And once I found out about it all, at Cosmic Summit where I met him. And once I found out about it all, and he was he originally supposed to be in the Atlantic debate?
I don't know. I know they had him booked for a few months to be doing that premiere, so it makes sense that they were going to have him do the debate as well.
I think he was, but I didn't know he wasn't supposed to be on the Explorers Club, so I didn't know who he was, and I didn't. I guess I kind of looked him up for the Atlantis debate, but I didn't realize about the video. Anyways, and there's even one other lady, Joanna. What was her name?
Yes, Ballard.
Ballard, thank you. Joanna Ballard was also a last-minute person because she did her Tunisia research. And so it was a little bit confusing and about who's talking. And at the very end, I didn't get to spit out. The final thing is the world was Atlantis. I call it pre-Atlantis. And the reason why is because the story of Poseidon, I think Poseidon is kind of a placeholder in terms of a god that they reach and grab for, and Plato did that. And the idea is Poseidon also raped Medusa, right? He gave her that bad hair day.
Right.
And so it's like he did all these things, right? But the story about the human woman Cleito, she came from that neighborhood. Okay, that's where the concentric circles were. And Plato said half natural and half formed by man. So I don't know. I never really claimed that Poseidon created those or people created those rings. However, that's part one of the story is the Cadiz part. So everything that he's doing is awesome. I can't wait to see it. And he knows his stuff. He did read Plato, and I think he knows I've read Plato as well. He disagreed with me on one thing on stage, and it was something I'm like, what? And he didn't really get into it. I can show you the slide he disagreed with. But it was no big deal. We're still friends.
Yeah.
You can.
To your point earlier
I think-
about the world being, to your point earlier about the world being Atlantis, if there were city-states or nation-states back then, surely they had alliances that changed over time. Some of them were a part of separate entities, or some of them were joined together. So who's to say that there weren't settlements and civilizations in various parts all while Atlantis was happening?
Sure. And the whole story of what happened 9,000 years before Plato, it, to me, seems like it would have been, well, it is the final events of Atlantis, right? It's the end. And that's when was the beginning? How old do you think it could have been? 50,000 years?
Mm-hmm.
Older, maybe? I think the stuff I've found in North America and all around, even in Africa, even in South Africa, is more than that, older than that, way older. And I think it's like, we're looking at a new story, like giants. And that's where I have to, like you said, with Robert Schock, he's very picky, and I've been talking to him as well, and I don't want to tell him some of the things I believe, because he'll probably stop talking to me.
Well, he definitely stays like as grounded in facts as he possibly can, because he does work at a university and stuff like that.
Right.
But to be fair, he does step out on a ledge as far as one can go when working in that arena as well. But as far as Michael Donnellan goes, we had the pleasure of talking to him last week. We're going to release an episode with him in a couple of weeks, and he's a polymath as well. He's a man of many talents as well. So we learned a lot about him and all the other things he does besides this work with Atlantis. The only thing that bums me out is you can't watch I want to watch. So what we got to watch at Cosmic Summit was a condensed to an hour version of 3 episodes of a TV show that they're going to start putting out that you can't watch in the US yet. So I wanted to watch the whole thing, and I still can't yet. So I don't know when it's actually going to come out, but they're going to do like a whole
He said
series,
he would give
apparently.
me. Well, he told me he'd give me the link to the first 3 episodes, but I couldn't share it. I just want a shot of those ridges outside of Cadiz. I didn't realize my time would be limited to take that screenshot, and I think those ridges, the way they're created, is a form of megalithic advanced technology that you can see everywhere. I think that there's some stuff out there that's really big, and if it was humans that did it, then they definitely had the machines to do it. If it wasn't, then it was probably giants, ET, the Anunnaki. And I think when you look at the stuff in South Africa that I can show in this presentation, the Anunnaki story really clicks into place. Unfortunately, because I don't want to be genetically altered. I don't know. Maybe it's a better thing, but I think that there was some genetic altering. So, and another person at the Cosmic Summit. What about Praveen Mohan?
Oh, I love that guy. Yeah, he's one of
You
my.
didn't get a chance to interview him at all?
No, but Brittany's working on it. He's a tough cookie because he's got a lot of people after him. He's got like 3 million subscribers on YouTube or something like that, and he's all over the place. But he did say he would come on our show, so Brittany's working on that right now for us. But ancient India is one of those things that just gets like, I don't know, it just doesn't get as much attention from us, our side of the world, as it should, because it's more mind-blowing than Egypt in a lot of ways.
It's very mind-blowing.
Yeah,
well, see, because mainstream has not us, convinced it's only 900 years old. And come on, man. He has disproven that for sure. I saw the video that he put out before Cosmic Summit, and it was about the elephant with four tusks. Have you seen this? It's actually on the wall. Now, I've been to Angkor Wat 2 times, so I was there, but I was not open. I did not understand what I was looking at the time. I just thought it was cool, and then I kind of got the wake up call. 2008. I always knew something was up. I mean, my mom put me into the mouth of Quetzalcoatl, and in Mexico, and Stonehenge. We lost the photo, so I put that up from an AI reconstruction, and I think that. The one thing is that I've been looking at this stuff for a long time, and I knew something was wrong when I saw those balustades in Angkor Wat. I said, wait a minute. Even 900 years ago, we didn't have machines that could lathe stone. They're not they're not wood, they're stone. And then Praveen went back there so many times and realized that the whole thing is a work of art, and it is a form of sacred geometry. I almost said
Yeah.
geology, but anyways, geometry, and
It is though.
it really is, and it's apparently a lingam. Apparently, the whole thing's like a lingam, and that's something that I don't even understand. And Praveen, yeah, he was a little offish with me as well. I mean, I'm pretty pushy type of guy if I'm in the mood for it. So
You're
and he
just
could tell
friendly.
that.
You're friendly.
I just yeah, and I talk a lot. I have a big mouth. Let's put it that way.
So
So
I don't want to like for the people from your audience that already know this. We don't need to linger on it too long. But
no, it's okay.
for the people from our audience, I want you to kind of tell us. This is what we're going to ask you in the interview anyway. How did you get into this? Like, as far as you were visiting these sites, like when you were younger with your family, but how did it happen? You told me this, but I want everyone else to hear it. How did you just decide to go to the wrist shot structure? Like, how did that whole thing go down before we get into your presentation?
So when did COVID start? 2019 or 20? Before
20.
It started, I still had a channel, the same channel. It's the same link. It was always my name, David Stig Hansen. If you go to YouTube and put in my name, David Stig Hansen. Later on, they made it possible I could grab that @Stig. So after youtube.com/@Stig, that's pretty new. But it was always David Stig Hansen. But the title of your channel, you could choose it differently, right?
Yes.
So I chose 20 years in Taiwan at the time because I had been there for. Actually, I was finally over at least 25 years in Taiwan, and I moved there after I finished university, basic BS university, and got my didn't even know what it was, administration degree, and I only wanted the degree so I could get a job. And when I decided to go to Taiwan and teach English for a while, you can use the bachelor's degree to teach English right away. It was pretty good because back then you could even make it's about the same, 3,000 a month. But then there was a banking crisis and all the hours were cut. So right away I was really poor. But stuck with it in Taiwan and started doing YouTube like 2008 and I got monetized right away. Got the 1,000 subscribers and I never really made any money though, trying my best and doing videos of stuff that are weird in the beginning, clickbait. And then so I had this monetized channel, and so I started doing YouTube videos. And back in Taiwan, I started doing the videos because I was in the States when I started the channel and got it monetized. I was back home for a short time. But back in Taiwan, doing videos, and when you could live stream from your phone, when I finally got the new phone that I could live stream with, I just started doing videos all the time. And so I had 1,000 videos. And
One of the, you were an early trendsetter. You were a very early trendsetter with a live unboxing of a smartphone. That everyone has since copycatted that to all ends. You should have got paid big for that one, man. This credit.
I made a little money off that, and that was one of my number one viewed videos. But okay, so I think that I've been on YouTube's bad boy list because of my number one clickbait video I did that was Nicki Minaj. It was like Nicki Minaj uncensored. The thumbnail was her bare-breasted with electric tape over her nipples, and I got like 500,000 views and a lot of subscribers from that too, right? That's pretty much how I got subscribed, I think. I'm sorry, monetized. And so
we need to do that.
No, you don't want to do that. You don't want to do that. There's other things you can do nowadays. I'll think of ways you can do it. But yeah, that was clickbait, and I was early with the clickbait. But then I kept that because it wasn't. YouTube finally kind of got mad at that, and I had to get rid of that. And I had this other one where I walked into a video. It was a convention center in Taipei where they had this room full of videos that were all different. There's art pieces, Taiwanese college student art pieces. And it was this guy, I think he was literally had a caterpillar in his face. He was crushing it or killing it. And I was videotaping that with my it wasn't even a smartphone. We're talking about a Sony Ericsson that was in a James Bond. If you can somehow search that one. It was this little spy phone I bought for like and I loved it. And it was doing video, and I grabbed that, and I didn't even upload it to YouTube till years later, and I made that into clickbait. It said something like Taipei hand job something rather, and yeah, it got. I don't think it's on my. It might still be on my thing, but I had to change the title, and I don't know. I may have deleted it because I don't want to reduce the number of views my channel had either. I lost 1 million views when I deleted a bunch of stuff, and then of course I lost even more when I removed the 1,000 Taiwan related videos from that, and that took a long time to do, man. Backup hard drives and stuff, very difficult. And then, I wanted control of my content because you really don't have control of it, and you can't really manipulate it. You used to be able to grab those videos, create compilations, and republish them, and you can't do any of that anymore. Even editing stuff is really a pain in the butt. Okay, so the money. Okay, so in 2013, I was still not really interested in ancient history. But a friend of mine who now has a channel called Adapt 2030 in 2013 did a video on Comet Ison. And so that's not me. His name is David Dubine. He's making bucks on YouTube because of the way he does it. Follow him. You need more affiliate links. You need more are you guys even monetized yet?
Working on it. We're really
You're
close.
almost
We're
there.
like,
You're
we're like
almost
this
there.
close.
Yeah, I know what you need. Yeah, I know how it works. And that's the thing. So let's talk more about that. But so Dave, he also wasn't monetized. He didn't even have a channel. He came to me with a video he did in 2013 on Cosmic Ison that not only blew my mind, but made my channel go viral. I didn't get a lot of subs. I only got like 4,000 total subs out of the deal. But I went up to, I got like $1,000 the 1 month in YouTube. I'm like, I'm rich, and then it just goes back down right away. And so things are quiet. I'm still doing Taiwan, and then I was still starting to do more ancient history because of what David had got me to upload. I started looking at stuff in a different light and started thinking about, definitely polygonal stones, polygonal walls. I'd visited them. I've never been to Peru, but in Mexico there's some, and and now with what happened was I found the Eye of Africa in 2008. You can see that in the presentation. I put it on Facebook. I said I'm going here. I actually said I'm going here in a 4-wheel drive in 2009, I think. And so Jimmy Corsetti comes out in 2018 with this connection with Herodotus, which I think is important, but really important. But secondly, the castle. That thing blew my mind. And I started becoming a full-time Google Earther. And I also, when COVID hit, I was already borderline part-time, 20 hours a week, because I was working in a university. But when COVID hit, it all changed, and I had so much free time on my hands. All I did was just sit there with Google Earth. So I started doing videos, and I even went semi-viral for a while, making, like, believe it or not, it sounds horrible, $40 a day. But if I could make $40 a day on YouTube, I wouldn't have to work anymore, especially in Taiwan. And I was still in Taiwan. COVID hit, and now you have your private students, and then you have your real job, and all my private students dried up right away. So now my income I was destitute. And then my little brother passed away, and then I came home, COVID, funeral, my grandmother passes away. I got a little bit of inheritance from her, and I was already doing videos on the Rashat, but I was still stuck in Taiwan. I was even volunteering for a animal sanctuary, living in northern Taiwan, listening to Graham Hancock's books on audiobook, working for $50 a day. And it was more voluntary, but I needed a little money to pay my rent. So it was $50 a day. I fixed up the whole house. These guys had a whole bunch of dogs there. They were living there, but they had these dogs there. I don't know if you know about, these guys weren't animal hoarders, but I know animal hoarding and what they can do to a house. And
right.
These dogs, there must have been 20 dogs living on this property, but anything that could break was broken. And I had to go through the whole house. And so what did I do? I listened to Graham Hancock. One of the things he did was he did the narration on his own audiobooks, and he allows those audiobooks to be on Internet Archive. So you can listen to all his books for free. Luckily, I've met him twice or three times now, and have 3 of his books signed in my. I did buy his books, and with the inheritance I got from my grandmother, which is not around anymore. I mean, I'm not a rich. I have to go back to work soon. Luckily, I'm not destitute, but I need to. I did spend a little bit too much going to the Rashad structure 3 times, and the third time, I went to Spain and Morocco, and you know, I've been to Europe before, but not really as an adult. And I think I'm a little too old. 57, it's a little too old, but still, I went to the Pillars of Hercules and sat on both pillars. Look, talking about other pillars and the Pillars of Hercules and the Rock of Gibraltar not being it, I can tell you for sure that the Pillars of Hercules we know now are definitely the ones Plato is talking about. If I'm wrong, down by Tunisia there was a spot, but I don't think so because it's the same pillars. This history's gone back. I mean, everybody knows. Nobody knows about any cataclysm that changed the location of the pillars. So if there was an alternative way to get into sub-Saharan Africa through water, I believe that Tunisian entry point, Chalk Lake, was definitely something. And also, I can talk more about that later. But how did I get involved into? I give Jimmy. Luckily, he's my friend now. I got his number. Can't always get him on the phone, but I have his ear. He said my name on Joe Rogan, so that was an important thing for me. And
that would make me happy too.
Maybe someday I can go drop your guys' name on Joe Rogan, or you guys can drop my name. Let's get on Joe Rogan together. But it's tough, and you have to have 100,000 subscribers. He doesn't want me because I've only got 12,000. Maybe I can get lucky and get in the side door with Jimmy or with another way. Maybe I could go be a stand-up comic in Austin and meet him that way.
I think that's a great idea. You mentioned that earlier when we were on the phone. You said you were going to give that a try possibly at the mothership in Austin.
One of the reasons why I wasn't successful in Taiwan was because nobody understands sarcastic, deadpan humor face.
Right.
They think I'm being serious right now. And a girl in Taiwan says, "I am fat," and you say, "No, you're skinny as a." You don't say it. She's like a toothpick, and "I am fat," and you say, "Oh yeah, you're so fat." No, she just took that serious, and she hates you now. They don't understand sarcasm. I teach it.
Well, I think that should be part of your polymathy, whatever you want to call it. You should at least give it a try anyway, David.
I just watched that movie, The Life of Chuck. I guess it was from the end of last year. So depressing. It's about death. So I think about death a lot and what you can leave on this planet. And that's why I don't care about the money. I wanted to go to the Rashad structure because it became a passion the minute I saw that castle. And I was the first YouTuber to get to that castle, by the way. Graham Langdon was the first YouTuber to get to the center of the Rashad structure. I don't know if you knew that. And he got there right after Jimmy. Also, Josh Sigurdson went. And then I finally got there, and I was pissed at those two because neither of them went to the castle. And do you know what I'm talking about? That was the big question.
Yes.
This castle is a slide in the presentation. Show just that one slide. It's slide number 18. And that's the castle. And I was looking at that for 5 years in Taiwan, destitute, unable to afford anything like that. You wouldn't believe how cheap the first trip went. The first trip there was so cheap, and except for the fact that I stayed there a month. I didn't go to the Rashad structure for a month.
You want me to just pull up the slides now, since we're talking
about
it?
Well, pull up slide 18. Pull up slide 18. I mean, you can go through them all real quick. You can speed hit them, but do 18 and 19 right now. 18, it shows the castle. And that one is the thing that Jimmy showed on his in 2018 and said, what the hell is this thing, a castle? And I looked at that. We figured out what that was before I ever went there. But I still wanted to see it from the ground. I expected there to be tall polygonal walls. And there were not. The next slide shows the castle. Look at the next slide. Put it on slideshow mode.
How do I do that? Where is that?
It's up in the top right, slideshow, top right.
Oh, yeah, got it.
There you go.
Cool.
Yeah, and then you could just hit the arrow key real fast. You can machine gun through them. Okay, so stay on that one first. So that's basically the walls is just a bunch of piled rocks. A lot of people didn't want to believe that. Now, we had already figured out those were probably Spanish, Foreign Legion. I never liked saying Foreign Legion. I said, no, it's a Spanish military. Well, wait a minute. French. Sorry, French. Take that back. The French Foreign Legion. But that's not France. That's Mauritania. So it's Foreign Legion, right? Okay, so anyways, and we know about the Foreign Legion there. There's another, the slide's not in this presentation, but there's another headquarters of a dilapidated building that used to be the Foreign Legion headquarters. It's actually at the entry point outside the concentric circles. You can see it. There's a sign. It's Dave's mom. Hey, I don't know who's saying that. Don't tell me.
Don't worry, my mom's here in the chat, and then I said hello, and then our friend Rue said hello, Mike and Dave's mom, and I said, no, it's Dave's mom. So just to clarify, but say hi to my mom, Stig. This is the other Dave.
Hi, Mom. Now, my mom told me when I said this in the Explorers Club, I didn't want to have anything to do with ancient history. I didn't want to have anything to do with Atlantis. I went with my mom to Mexico. She's put me in the mouth. Okay, so now you can go back, and you can go back to the very beginning of this thing. Just hit the arrow key. Hit the arrow key up. Arrow key up, maybe. There you go. Go to the top, and I'll just go first. You can see the very beginning. Going down
the top. You can tell me. You can
down
tell me when to move.
I'm not gonna get distracted though. We're talking about mom and how my mom affected me. Go down slowly. Now that is a good slide to remember. There's a 94-mile, 50-foot wide, maybe road or canal. By the way, take note of the name of this Facebook group. It's called Was This Atlantis? That's my page, and I put everything there, and I put a link there. So if you really want to see some of these things, and you don't want to waste time trying to figure out how to get there on Google Earth, go to my Was This Atlantis. It's basically facebook.com/Was This Atlantis. No spaces. Okay, so that's really important. 94 miles. That's long. That's in the middle of the Sahara Desert. Keep going. One more slowly. That's a serpentine in Algeria. That's this presentation. That's my website. Okay, so my mom shoved me in the mouth of Quetzalcoatl. I'm sure you couldn't do this now. This is the temple of Quetzalcoatl. I had to ask one of my heroes. Sorry. What's his name? One of the first guys doing stuff in Peru, Brian Forrester.
Oh yeah, love that guy.
We're friends on Facebook, and I said, look, I don't know where this is. I'm sure you do. He said, that's the temple of Quetzalcoatl, Mexico City, of course. I didn't know the name of the temple. So my mother put me in there, and the next one is us in Europe in 77, even though that's a recreation. Thank you, AI. I totally had to make him get the right jacket. That was my London fog jacket my mom bought me. Unfortunately, the picture got lost in the dust and the wind, man. Okay, so one thing that's not here is there's something I was going to say is that, yeah, my mom was into psychicness. That's another reason why I don't like Edgar Cayce. And she got involved with Bigfoot, which I'm okay. We have Nephilim in the Bible. I think that Bigfoot is something real. And I'm sure you've seen the meme with a bunch of different types of Bigfoot all over the world. The boing boing or the oi oi in Australia, they all have one.
Yeah.
Okay, so then the next thing though, when I was young, sorry, my mom also was still young, said, David, I have to tell you, I lived a previous life in Atlantis in one of my reincarnation lives. So I'm from Atlantis. I'm just like, oh God. I never wanted to have anything to do with Atlantis, ever. So it wasn't until Jimmy in 2018, I had already seen the Rashad. I already said I'm going to go there. See the slide that says that? Slowly go through the places I went. This is before I didn't know. So go slowly through the slides real quick. Just go down arrow. I went to Guatemala. I learned Chinese in the army. And then I moved to Taiwan. So close to Yonaguni. Next slide shows that. I was so close to Yonaguni, I had no idea. And then I even went to Cambodia twice. And in one of them, I showed the balustrades that are carved from stone. That started to make me question stuff, but I was still ignorant. Go ahead. The next 4 slides, slowly.
Can I just stop here, though, quick? You were in the U.S.
Sure.
Army?
Yeah, I was an activated reservist. So, Tyrone, who went to Afghanistan and Iraq, and Jimmy Corsetti as well was there.
Same here.
And which one, Mike or Dave?
Dave, yeah.
Dave. Okay. Yeah, so I was a REMF. I never did my job. So I took advantage. They taught me Chinese in Monterey, and then um, yeah, and I learned my job, and that was a 98 Charlie, which is what is that? It's forgot what that is.
Truck
Language.
driver, language.
No. It was MI. It was MI. You have to have some type of MI to go to DLI. I had a TS, which I never used. I don't know if that makes sense, but
It's signals intelligence. It's signal.
Okay, right.
intelligence.
No, the exact thing is signal intercept warfare signal military warfare signal. I was grabbing the message in Chinese. I learned how to know what direction tanks were going. And that's the language they taught us in Monterey. I went to Texas to learn the SIG part, but it was actually what I learned in Texas, even though it was TS clearance. It was nothing. There was nothing. It was all on the job. They were not giving us anything. They were not giving us anything. It was crypto. It was about crypto, and it had nothing to do with SIG info and all that stuff. There was no real secrets. Okay,
but you were right here near Yanaguni, or what?
Yeah, and that was not military. I was not stationed there. I went to Taiwan afterwards. I went back home. So I was a REMF, trained for duty, and I even got out just before Desert Storm.
Okay.
I got out.
Good timing.
Good timing. Yeah, my friend, he had to go. He was a National Guard, and he had to go.
Yeah.
To Desert Storm, which nobody got really hurt. A few people did, but I mean, then things changed, right? So I went the first time to Cambodia. We're still using film cameras here. This is the best I can give you. This is the best evidence I've got. And Cambodia was interesting, but I was still didn't think about ancient history. I didn't think it was only 1,200 years old. 1997 was the first time, and the next time was 2004. I knew there was something. I was called back. 2004, I went again. And I'd have that picture on the boat. And they flood every year. It floods on the lake. And I was just doing what people took me to do. I wasn't get away from all the tour guides and go really take a good look at this stuff. Fast forward that to the balustrades. Just a few pictures down. Hit the down arrow. Yeah, those trees. And and talking about polygonal stone, the next one was the boat, and the next one after that's the balustrades. But look at these polygonal stones. I mean, you're going to tell me that that's only 900 years old? Now, Praveen Mohan just came out with a recent video debunking the 900-year-old. I actually have to watch it again.
I saw that. Yeah.
Well, he showed it. I didn't see the long one he did that had the number 900 was a lie. I haven't watched that one. Anything besides the elephant tusk that I should know about in that? Because it's a busy world out there. I got all these things I'm doing.
It's worth a watch, but I've seen. It's hard for me to even keep up anymore. I just remember watching it and going, "Oh yeah, he's right." You could look at Cambodia, all this stuff in Cambodia, and go, and realize that, especially Angkor Wat, Angkor Thom, that's not 900 years old. It has to be way older than that because they didn't know how to make that shit 900 years ago. You know what I mean? So.
I was just looking at a couple of the chat. No, and they couldn't look at the next one. Go down below the boat, and look at the next one, and then you'll see it's a lady standing in front of the balustrades in the Angkor Wat.
Here.
Yeah, and that's the one that caught my attention. Now the top, it looks like those could have been fit in later, maybe. And that was the thing. I didn't have any information. There was no real info. There was no internet. There was internet. This was the first time was 1997. So there was internet, but I was in Taiwan and getting on the internet was next to impossible. Mm-hmm. And I could do it, but I wouldn't care about looking up ancient history at that time. I was looking at how I can avoid getting fired from my teaching job and how I can have more fun in Taiwan. And when I went to this, I did leave because I was out of a job. So I was headed back to the States for a couple of years. And what I decided to do was I decided to go back home and get my master's degree. And this was years later. This was in 2008. But I decided to get my master's degree so I could go work in the university system in Taiwan. But by the time I had gotten back, now universities were more requiring PhDs. What was that? That's weird.
Oh.
Oh, this must be telling me I've got a meeting with you in a half an hour.
That's exactly what that is.
So okay, so then the next slide was I found that I was taking care of my grandmother. I finally got the internet going, and before we go on, let me just say, so the castle is an old French outpost. I say no, it's not. I saw a chat that said this. The castle would be more of an infantry soldier training field that they used stretched out string to make sure it was nice and straight. But other than that, it's just piled rocks. And if you look at what I used to call the teeth, it has teeth along the walls. Each one of those is like a foxhole. And you can find these structures. And you were mentioning, I'm not sure, I thought it was Dave, but now I'm not sure if it was Mike, saw one of my recent videos. Maybe it was neither of you. And they were questioning it. And I just posted it because it was very interesting. It showed a triangle. It had very African, like jungle African sounding music at the very beginning, and it was showing this triangle, and it was actually another one of these fortifications. Okay, so you said outpost. I would say no, it's not an outpost. It's a fortification of piles of stone. I even went back to the fortification number 4 and 5. A lot of people have noticed it over the years. I even revisited that on my third trip because I was visiting these what I believe is an ancient quarry field because of the perpendicular lines there. And I'm like, I'm right next to fortification number 4 and 5. I'm going to go over there one more time. And I almost drove right on top of it. I would have felt like crap. Luckily I didn't. Anyways, so these fortifications were merely different types of infantry training. These guys would hike out there with their guns and lie down in these, I wouldn't even say foxholes. I think that the teeth were little walls, and they would go up pretty high. But then some of them are really weak and they're very flat, close to the ground. That one that you just saw was more of a higher pile of stones. That was the number 1 castle, fortification number 1. That's the famous one, and probably the one that was maintained the most. Nobody was thinking about what it looked like. When I went there, I thought I was going to see walls that I would have to walk through. And there are other structures there that have walls, but don't get me started with the trolls. Let's look at this other. Wait, are we at the bottom or are we at the top? When I read, I've began explorations of a local geological feature in Michigan known as the Devil's Soup Bowl. Is that the newest chat or is that the oldest?
That's the newest. That's the newest one.
Okay, just checking. I don't want to go back through all the chats, but since they're up, I just wanted to say that sounds interesting. And while Michigan is not Montana, it is closer to Canada. And I think there's a lot of stuff that we can find where the ice sheet was, especially in Montana. Later on, I'll talk about the Continental Divide, but let's put this back in your hands, and I'm going to take a sip and let you ask the next question. The next 2 slides is where we started, and Jimmy, and the next 2 slides after that is the Herodotus connection. Jimmy brought up the Herodotus connection, and there's so many things to say about this, but like I wanted to give it back to you. You ask the next question, please.
Well, I wanted to just ask, so the first year you went to Richshot Structure, when was that? And like, I'm an experiential person, so like, what was it like going to the Richshot Structure?
Okay, well, luckily I did kind of walk through the canal the second time I visited the Adrar, so I didn't know what I was doing. Can I give you any slide to look at for answering that question? I'll give you a number.
Yeah, sure.
Let me see if there's any good slides for answering that question. We can always go back.
Go to
the very first one. Go to the very first one. I think that's the very first one's the best because it really looks at the intriguingness. A lot of people wonder, can you stand on that cliff? You really cannot stand on that cliff and look at it like that. That's a Google Earth shot, but even a drone would have to be several hundred feet up in the air. This whole basin is 45 kilometers wide. And so the question is, was it, and this is the passion that I was going for. I was getting videos. I was doing live streams. Yeah, I still had my university students until the end of 2021. My brother passed away. That triggered something, but COVID was already so fierce. So I was already kind of financially destitute. And the fact that he passed away before me, he was 47, maybe.
Mm.
He died of a heart attack. He was a heavy drinker. I still drink. Finally, this was frozen vodka. No, I'm sorry, bourbon. And so it finally defrosted. So now I can have alcohol. But the point I'm trying to make is that it brought me to question my reality, and I do focus on death a lot. I focus like that movie, The Life of Chuck. I don't know if I like that movie enough to recommend it, but I did watch the whole thing, and it was about knowledge of your death.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't really have a good point at the ending, to be honest. I am a movie critic, but I think about death, and I said, "Fuck, F this, I'm going to definitely go to the Rashad structure ASAP." I had about 6 months of destitute in the States, and I was doing some work. I do carpentry. I was working in a hotel, fixing up rooms that were broken. You have to understand, I live in the Coachella Valley, Palm Springs. I'm near Palm Springs, California. And
We were just there, Mike and I.
oh man.
Yeah, we just missed you. It was right before we met you. We went to Contact in the Desert.
Oh, okay. Well, then it wouldn't have been. Well, we were kind of chatting a little bit before.
Before
CS.
that, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but it's too bad.
I just didn't know you lived there, so otherwise we would have hit
Yeah,
you up.
exactly. But tell me more. Why were you here?
We went to Contact in the Desert, which is the largest
should've known.
UFO conference in the world. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, and I went to that 30 years ago. Did you go to the Integratron?
No, but they talked about it. The Integratron, some offsite experience to go in an observatory or something.
See, this goes back to my mom. My mom was so into all this stuff. 30 years ago, I was an adult, but I was still having to deal with the UFO conference in Vegas. She was doing that for 20 years. She did that, and UFOs. I didn't care about UFOs anymore. I'm a little interested in them, but like these UAPs, I definitely don't care about them much. But to get back into it, so help me get back into it. Oh, the Rashad.
Yeah, like
so,
what was it like going there, man?
So 2021, I had all the money I needed to go, and I went down to AAA, and I said, I want a travel agent. I don't want to deal with the internet. I want a travel agent. I already had a AAA card, which I no longer have anymore, by the way. I don't do their insurance. Insurance is a ripoff. We don't want to get into that, but this was January 2022. It's actually probably still 2021 at Christmas time, and that's when I actually had money in the bank. And so walked into AAA, and he got the whole itinerary going. I still had some questions, so I left without a ticket. But I had the itinerary, and all I had to do is tell them a yes or no on the purchase. Well, SARS, and by the way, if you don't know much about me, look up my alter ego. I wrote the book on SARS. It's not on my website. It's not anywhere, anything I can share. You can look up my middle name backwards on Amazon. I've had my book on Amazon. I wrote a book on SARS. It hit Taiwan, living life in Taipei during SARS. I wrote the book. Wrong title. It's called Not SARS, Just Sex. People think it's sex tourism. People think it's pornography. It's not. It was just what I thought was a cool name. I wrote it on a pseudonym. Gitz is my middle name backwards. Stig is Gitz. Ferrari, a cool car. So you can find that book on Amazon. The reason why I brought it up was because I literally knew about COVID already. And when it hit, I didn't care. I accidentally said SARS. That's why I brought up the book I wrote on. I wrote a book on it. But yeah, if you buy that, you're going to get the e-version. I gave my last copy to Randall Carlson's. I take that back. I have a sequel to the book, and I gave my copy of that book to Randall Carlson's wife 4 Easters ago. And when I got to Cosmic Summit, I had my copy of both books. I gave one to Graham Langdon, the Not SARS, Just Sex. I gave the sequel called The Oil Sands of Alberta to Randall Carlson's wife, because she was the only person I know who's read the first one. So, no, there's a lot of people who read the first one, but the only person who I've given it to recently from these groups. So I gave it to Randall and everybody else, Graham Hancock, a copy of the book. They probably saw the cover and threw it away. I don't know. Randall didn't, but I wonder if Graham did when I met him. Anyways, so the point
I
was
just
when I
found it.
accidentally,
It's Ferrari. I just found it. Okay.
yeah, and that's me living in Taiwan in 2003. Okay, and so if you want to know what my life was like in Taiwan, get those books. I'll even give you a free copy. I don't care. Because I don't make a lot of money from Amazon. Okay, I don't know what cheap viewers on streamboo.com is. But anyways, there was another point. So the thing I was going to say was I accidentally said SARS when I should have said COVID. And the reason why I said COVID was there was a COVID outbreak right at the end of 2021, and that travel agent could no longer help me. He said, "Yeah, I can't sell the ticket anymore. It's been taken off the." And it was going to be about $2,200. So I got on the internet and I bought my own ticket a week later for $1,000 round trip to Mauritania.
Wow.
Yeah, yeah. Of course, that wasn't the only cost, right? I can talk more about that, but it was literally like maybe a little more, $1,000, $1,200 maybe. I can't remember anymore. So you asked me what it was like going there. I arrived in Nouakchott, and oh my God, what a wake up call that is. I think if you really want to know about Nouakchott, check out my shorts and go to the early ones, the very beginning, back in when I met Jimmy and Graham Hancock again. I met them both already, but I met them again at CPAC 2023.
Mm-hmm.
And that was right here in the Coachella Valley. So it was an easy thing. And I met them both. And right before that, shorts came out. And I said, oh my God, if I'm going to get my message out there, I need to do some shorts. So I started to publish shorts. And one cool thing about shorts is that you get to use copyrighted music. So I went through all my playlists and I got all my favorite tunes and I did a bunch of shorts. One of them is Nouakchott, walking through Nouakchott, downtown Nouakchott. It's a real eye opener. Very poor, Muslim. There's morning prayer. The call for morning prayer is broadcast through the whole city. First thing in the morning, you're going to hear it, no matter what city you are in not just Mauritania, but all over Africa, all over the Sahara Desert. I'm sure you get the morning prayer announcement at like 6 a.m. Wake up and get ready to pray. And then there's an I think it's afternoon prayer. After lunch, there's an afternoon prayer, and then there's an evening prayer. I guess I don't know everything about those, but it's a big eye opener to the culture, and like you're literally watching people wash their feet in the street, getting ready to go to pray. And so that's Nouakchott, and it took me. I didn't know how to get to the Eye of Africa. I wasn't on a chat-to-chat basis with Graham Langdon yet, or we weren't doing Twitter together yet. Now I can reach him on Twitter, and I think I have his number. And Josh Sigerson went, but he kind of left the world of ancient history. He went there for Jimmy. I believe he went there because of Jimmy, but he lost his channel, and he was doing news. Now he's doing like David Icke interviews and doing new stuff. And living in Mexico. And so I didn't know how, and by the way, he also drove from Morocco to Mauritania, which is something I've never done and I don't know if I'll ever do. But if you check it out on Google Earth, it looks tough. It looks like a tough drive and a real tough crossover when you get to the border. And that's the thing. Didn't make it my fourth trip. April Fool's Day this year, I got detained in Mauritania. I made it to Mauritania.
That.
So that would have been the fourth trip, but it was no fooling. You actually got apprehended and had to deal with.
Well, you say apprehended. They just made us go hang out in the departure lounge. But yeah, they got a little nasty. They were being unreasonable. And Mauritanian Airlines owes me a ticket because it's their fault that I was let onto the airplane without proper visa. Let's just leave it there. The only way to get a visa there for an American is to get an e-visa. Things have changed from the first, second, and third times I've went. And unfortunately, we finally did get in the country, but the companion I was traveling with unplugged the trip. And actually, I saw him at Cosmic Summit. I wasn't happy to see him there. Okay, so to make sure to answer the rest of your question, finally found a place that would rent a truck. And that's what you need a truck. When you're in Nouakchott, you're 8 hours away from the eye. There's something that's very similar to a Toyota Tacoma. It's called a Hilux. That's the minimum you need. This last trip, I was supposed to take a Pathfinder. No, not a Pathfinder. What's that other one that Toyota makes? Anyways, it was a more expensive, more luxurious truck. I got stuck paying for it because my travel companion refused to pay for it. Anyways, yeah, the picture that you probably want to put up is down number 27. It's the one detained. Detained. It's about 4 down. You were almost there. But yeah, go slowly, go slowly, go slowly. That's Randall Carlson's cataclysm slide. That's significant because I really think that answers a lot of questions. The next one shows Randall Carlson talking about the Rashat structure, and he's the one who said there were chert outcrops in this structure being quarried by somebody. I have the video clip. I asked Randall this last time I saw him at Cosmic Summit, when you said this, where were you getting your info? Because I searched and searched. He doesn't remember. The next slide shows the quarry fields. Yes?
Can I make a quick comment? I'm not going to try to do any impersonations right here, right now. But Dave knows I've dabbled with a couple, and we had even talked about in the alt history crowd, we need someone, a.k.a. David Stig Hansen, to dust off 4, 5, maybe 6 impressions, good impressions of other YouTubers and speakers that we all know. Go up on stage during the lunch hour and rattle them off real quick. We'd love to see that next year at Cosmic 26. There we go.
I'll tell you what, I can give you a George Howard that will kick your ass.
That's pretty good.
No, Randall Carlson, I'm sorry, I meant to say Graham Hancock is not so easy for me. I like to do a British accent, but I just can't quite get his. He's pretty much a Londoner, but at the same time, he's not a street Londoner. He's educated. So, and after listening to him do all 3 of his books, I went through Fingerprint of the Gods. I listened to his whole audiobook, and there was one of them that he did. It wasn't him. It was somebody else. And I think I even just skimmed through it because I really enjoyed his voice, Graham's voice, a lot. But well, tell me more about that. Where do we start, and how much do I get paid? You know, I'm pretty sure I can really only say one thing. Randall Carlson, I don't really do much except for there were chert outcrops in this structure that were being quarried by somebody, hundreds by somebody, you know, and of course he didn't say it exactly like that. I said it more than him, and that's where I started doing the impression.
That's good.
By somebody, by who? By humans, you know. And yeah, so I went to that. If you go to go back 2 slides and see that slide where he said that. There's a lot more in the slide talking about the Mar system, the ring dike. I mean, there's so many things to talk about with that slide alone. But then the next one shows what I thought was the quarry that he's talking about. Since then, I found so many other quarries. This one, okay, now if you look at this, sorry about the burp. If you look at this and you kind of zoom in right underneath the word Rashat, there's one part of that area that has perpendicular intersections. Also down below, you can see one main drag and perpendicular intersections.
Right.
You can see, and I went there on Valentine's Day. That's the next one. It's really an irrelevant slide. But I believe that you couldn't even see that stuff from the ground. I did video. You can go look at my channel. You can't really see anything from the ground. And that's the thing about that area. It's just so degraded. But the next one, that's where I was going to go next. And I do have a GoFundMe, and I raised $1,000, and I made it to Mauritania. You can see where this location is. Rubate, give me a little bit more than this is so confusing. I have ADHD. I'm trying to stay on track. You saying it's confusing is going to give me an off-track ADHD flare-up. Anyways, back to help me get here. I'm going here. I want to go here in November. I've raised $1,000. That money's long gone because I got there and I spent all the money on traveling and unfortunately got detained. And there's a long story behind that and why I didn't stay in the country and keep going. Basically, my truck was parked in this guy's driveway in Vegas, and I didn't trust him enough to say, you go back, I'm going to stay. And also there was a money issue. We had already done a lot of planning. We even had tickets to go to Turkey directly. We were dealing with direct flights.
Yeah.
I had a ticket to go to Göbekli Tepe next. And we were going to go there when, is it Uncharted X was having something there, or the Snake Brothers were having something there. And so many things were happening. And so when this guy unplugged it all, I was like, yeah, I was getting sick too. By the way, I was already getting a scratchy throat because we were forced to. I don't smoke cigarettes, and we were forced to basically sleep in the smoking lounge. So it was ridiculous. All right. Moving on. So the next slide shows me detained. It's just a joke. But this is something that I don't know if you know about. The next slide shows the difference, the before and after, while I was still in Mauritania, because I was a little scared. It wasn't the only, that guy unplugging the whole trip wasn't the only reason why I was ready to leave Mauritania. I was freaking tired and I was scared. So look at the next slide. I didn't want to look the same leaving the country. So I took the hotel razor and shaved off that entire beard. And I don't know if you've ever shaved off a beard with a razor. It's not impossible. And I had a second one. Luckily, I did use both razors, but it wasn't comfortable. And from now on, I'll never forget. This is a picture of where I want to go. I believe this is an ancient quarry field. Look how long those lines are. They're 6 miles long by 3 miles wide. That whole thing. I believe that's ancient quarrying. Maybe you can say mining. I have because of the time, and I know that we've been talking for 2 hours already, almost 2 hours. And I can keep going for a while longer, but I want you to have control of your time. So there's another 100 slides here. I have to hand it back over to you at this point, and I'll go through the slides if I need to show you something, I promise. But that's where I wanted to go, and that's the next part. There's other things. Yeah, okay, I'll tell you what we'll do. We'll go through about 5 more slides of things everybody must know, things that I still have to
Please,
get.
yeah. I want you to finish. I want you to finish
Okay,
showing
go
us this
before
stuff.
that. Go back, make sure, where are we? Go back a little bit. There's that one thing. Okay, no, I made a mistake. Go forward slowly. Okay, so that's it. Now, the previous slide showed where that is. It's in the corner of the eye. That is a Galawea. That's a special trip, and I want to know what the F that thing is. I've been wondering about that thing for 7 years now, a long time. And so that would be another place near the Rashat, near that quarry that I want to visit. Next slide. Let's look at them slowly. Things you need to know. Things everybody needs to know. This is a mound I found in South Africa. Now, the next slide shows this mound. I call it Stig's Mound because it doesn't have a name. It's aligned with 2 other mounds. This is in South Africa. And if we have time, I'll talk more about South Africa, but I want to give you the control. But these are things people need to know. These mounds are in South Africa. This, along the front of that mound, Stig's Mound, is one of the transport roads. It has gutterized. It looks like a cart rut, but it's single, but it's big, like 50 feet wide. It goes on for a few miles. These so-called transport roads, I don't take offense, Rubal. I just get triggered easily. And now that you said that, thank you for that apology. Yeah, I try, but sometimes I get. Let's keep going with these slides. Stig's Mound.
No worries.
There's some new circles that are located in the Sahara Desert that everybody needs to know about. The concentric circles of the Rashat structure is just one set, which I think are bigger and probably Atlantis. If I say it now, Plato and Herodotus, they only knew one set of mountains. The mountains were to the north. Those were the Atlas Mountains. Unfortunately for Michael Donnellan, they're all to the south of what he found in the Strait of Gibraltar and Cadiz, but they were still part of this. There's that new structure. And let's go slowly so I make sure to talk about the important part of each slide. But yeah, that thing, stop. Yeah, that thing, it's right there by the Rashat structure. The next one shows where it is. It's on the other end of that line. It happens to be aligned with this ancient equator alignment. If you connect the top of the Giza pyramid with Easter Island, it goes to Peru. It goes through all these ancient things, and it's also right there. It's right there. And this 2 circles, one being the Rashat structure, and the other one that is right there too. They're aligned. So what is this? Now that's that. Now another thing you should know is there's a 50-mile long canal. I haven't been there. Okay, by the way, I never finished answering Mike's question about my trip. The first trip when I left, I was believing it was not Atlantis anymore. I said, there's no ancient civilization here. But I still went back up onto the plateau and I walked through one of the two parallel canals. It's later on this thing, but I didn't realize if I had known about this. And when I found out about this 50-mile long canal, I actually discovered that it was pointing right at the mouth of the Rashat, 50 miles long, going through the high part of the Adrar Plateau is a mountain, and I call this the Lower Adrar. Once I saw that, I said, no, it was Atlantis. And we can go through the details if you want. The next slide shows these guys went there. These Russians went there. That's part of it. And they went there. They were watching my stuff, and they heard me talk about it, and they went there. And the next slide shows what they found. Okay, that thing, okay, unfortunately, I don't have all the pictures. That thing was probably metal at one time. I don't know how to describe it. I'm not a geologist. I'm not Robert Schoch, but they tested that. It's got manganese, which is used for making steel. It's got iron. It's iron enriched. And so this is inside that canal, and it's not normal rock. Okay, I've done plenty of pictures. Sorry, my eye's twitching. I've done plenty of pictures of normal rock in the Rashat structure, looking for the red, black, white stone. And I have my theories about that, but I'm tired of hearing about that. But this, and if you look at the whole shape, it's a long teardrop shape that gets skinny and then thick, and then starts again and gets skinny and then thick. It's not in there.
So this is this.
Yeah, that thing is inside that. If go back to the canal now, if you look at the left-hand side, you'll see a small line. That's a modern day. That's a modern day wall somebody built.
Yeah, yeah.
The big part, 50 miles long. It's not like that the whole way.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, it shows gaps and cuts the whole way. And I've done it a million times, and if that's something that people really want, I'm happy to show it here. Let's do the next part, though, because this is stuff people need to know. In the middle of the Rashat structure is this impact crater called Sebket El Guel. The one on the right is how it looks topographically. That's a topographical map. The one on the left is how it would be looking if it were. Well, what is the Rashat structure? People said it's not an impact. I agree that it's not a meteor impact. I have my theories, but it's way too out of the spectrum for me to try to push into a scientific paper yet. I'm not that good. I believe it was a Birkeland current impacted the Earth and created this thing. That falls into the electric universe. Randall Carlson doesn't talk about the electric universe. I know that for a fact. If somebody asked him a question, he probably would not answer the question because I've seen it happen 4 Easters ago. Somebody asked through the live stream, and the person reading the question stopped reading the question when the word electric universe was part of the question. They just stopped reading it, and it was never responded to. And they went to the next question. And I'm not a proponent of electric universe theory. I would be more proponent to that than I would any flat Earth. I'm going to be honest with you. My friends are pilots. Unfortunately, we talk about it all the time about what happens when the Earth falls into the shade of the shadow of the sun. And then, okay, so let's go back to this thing. Go back one just so I can finish. So I do believe that while a Birkeland current may have created the entire Rashat structure, later on, Atlantis was destroyed by an impact crater that created this crater right here. Huh. So the Russians went there. And I've been there, and I did a video of that location. And yeah, the next slide shows what they found. And I think this is incredible because what I'm seeing is a 3-sided, like a wall. Mm-hmm. And then whatever coating that is, they tested that also has iron in it. That also has manganese in it. So weird. Is that some type of, like Plato said, wall covered in the 3 metals they had, or calcium, they had gold, is this super decayed metal? And just because Plato said these 3 metals, I've also seen other translations where they say tin and iron, and so they're just talking about regular metals. They're not talking about gold. And so maybe there's part of the story that doesn't fall in line with the Plato account of gold. And if this were some type of gold, I think that they would have detected it. But to me, you can see three sides. That's so small. I'm hoping they grabbed it, but they found that in this impact crater. That's all I'm going to say about that. The next slide shows their results. Okay, but I'm going to say that's what everybody should know about. A lot of people on my channel, they're going to know all these slides already. Your people on your side, I hope that they remember these canals do exist. There's one more important thing going on up by those canals that I think are important. But at the same time, I don't want to try to hijack the whole thing. You guys are the hosts. There's a lot of you can go through here and kind of get an idea, but you don't have to talk about each one. This next segment is the Atlantis, Plato, and the real history. Michael Donnellan is going here. Michael Donnellan's slide is going right here. The next slide is Michael Hubner, and he took Plato's words and put them in a research paper, and it points right at Morocco. And the King of Atlas, he's a real person too. He's not just from the Plato story. The guy that wrote the atlas that's in your bookshelf right now was the Mauritanian King of Atlas. He invented that. And he was a real person. I mean, they give him credit for this and these other things. So the whole story points at the Atlas Mountains. King Atlas was from Mauritania. The word Atlas, these are all, Atlas means Atlantis. There's a slide later that says that. But Atlas means Atlantis. Yeah, I think that you could go through here and people understand the idea. You know, what Plato said. This Michael Hubner paper, no, go ahead, right there. That Michael Hubner paper took all the indication layers from what Plato said and layered them. And you can go to that link and see the separate layers. But this is the combination. And he points right at Morocco. Well, I believe, and that's right south of the Atlas Mountains. So it's one more indication for the term Atlas means Atlantis. ATL, right. Just like the picture of, I'm just going to keep looking at the slides myself. So yeah, the next couple of slides show that area. That's called the Soumas, and it's in Morocco. It's just south. I was just north of there in the Atlas Mountains in Marrakesh. And yeah, it just looks like regular mountains. So the big stuff is seen from Google Earth, in my opinion. And there's lots to see right there. There's so much. But I'm not going to go into that here. That's just more. By the way, if you want to know about political situation, when you go to Morocco, Western Sahara is part of Morocco. But when you look on our map, the Western Sahara, formerly known as Rio de Oro, it's actually, Rio de Oro is talking about the ancient Paleo River right there. I'm not going to show slides on it yet, but the Paleo River is called the Tamanrasset. It actually is why they called it Rio de Oro, because they heard about this ancient legend of a river. By the way, Rio de Oro means river of gold. And in Casablanca, you'll see the slide later, Casablanca shows Western Sahara, and the Tamanrasset River came right through the bottom part of that. So politics, man. And the story, I had to construct this timeline. I'm quite proud of it. The story came from Solon, right? Mm-hmm. So the story came from Solon.
This is really helpful.
And his friend Dropidas probably was the one that passed down the diary of Atlantis through Critias, who says, I studied this. I still have it in my possession today. And I studied this at a young age when I was a kid. Critias the Younger said that. He said he got it from his grandfather. Critias the Elder wasn't mentioned, but his grandfather was Critias the Elder. And it took me a long time to figure out this connection. And then Plato was alive when Critias the Younger was, and put him in his dialogue called Critias. And
this
Critias
is a great
said,
slide.
I studied it and I held it at a young age. So that means there was no telephone game between Solon and Plato. I mean, there was partially a telephone game, because the story from Solon didn't just go through the writings that Critias held. They also went through they went through the townspeople. Solon was a famous person. He went on a self-inflicted where he went to Egypt because he he didn't want to have to deal with the decisions he made while being a statesperson for the city-state of Athens. I might be wrong about that, but the city-state Athens, or maybe another city-state, but he was a statesman. And so Plato wrote about what he said from the standpoint of Critias. But at the same time, people in, what was it? So Solon died right before 500 BC. And then by the time Plato was an adult, 100 years later, so basically 150 years later, it wasn't just him. People knew about this from the Greek society. Mm-hmm. And so there was some telephone game, and there probably was a lot of people who took that story and changed it around. Don't talk to me about Santorini and how the Pillars of Hercules were in Israel and Egypt was Atlantis and that Santorini was the island that sunk. The Pillars of Hercules were a real place that fishermen knew about. In my opinion, when Plato mentions it, he's pointing west and he's saying to Helen back, to Helengon. We're talking beyond our knowledge of this world, beyond the pillars, into the land of Atlantic Ocean where we don't know. And then the second time he mentions the Pillars of Hercules, he points right at Cadiz. And what does he say? Go through the slides there's a couple more. Slowly, the next slide says, the Atlas Mountains are right there in Plato's story. Next slide shows the real Atlas Mountains near. That's okay. That's where that's actually not so relevant. You can keep going. I mean, it's got its relevancy, but we don't need to sit here and explain it too much. Chris Tolworthy, the name Dave is under Chris. No, the name Chris is under Dave. That's me, I guess, right? But anyways, the point is, oh no, that's got to be Dave. No, go back one. The point here is, why would there be mud in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean? Okay, so that was the very first time that Plato mentions the location. He said, beyond the Pillars of Hercules, later taken down, and what it says right there, an impassable barrier of mud to voyagers sailing from hence to any part of the ocean. Okay, so that's what Plato said. So why would it be, if an island sunk in the Atlantic Ocean, how would there be mud? That's just a point that I want everybody to know. But the next part is that story about Michael Donnellan.
I'd never heard that. I'd never heard that before. The mud
this
part.
This comes directly. Okay, so I've been dealing with one translation for the last 7 years. I was a fool not to start looking at other translations. Michael Donnellan bragged about having 17 different translations. Okay, so I'd like to get a hold of those. However, I can only take so much. If they're in ancient Greek, I'd like to have the true ancient Greek start. That's available, but it's kind of hard. I have dabbled with it. I haven't dabbled with the original. But is the original the original? I don't think so. However, take a look at the yellow. To his twin brother, this is literally the second time the Pillars of Hercules is mentioned. The first time he's talking about the mud. The second time he says, go through the Pillars of Hercules and stop at Gadiares, the region of Gades. It's right across from there. Now, it took me a while to think about it. He's talking about Morocco, but the city name is Gades. So Gadiares was the Greek name, and they used this name. Solon used it. Is it from the original Egyptian hieroglyphics that were on the Temple of Sais? I don't think so. But somehow or another, they knew the location. It's right beyond the Pillars of Hercules. I've been there. I've been there twice. I was there earlier this year. It's beautiful. There's a star fort there. Okay, so then I finally looked at some other translations. The next slide shows an alternative translation. And I think that's important to show real quick. And, oh no, it's not the next slide. Go two more slides. 3 more slides. It shows that. Yeah, that's it. And basically, it's the same story. And so my main point, Michael Donnellan definitely found Atlantis, but there were at least 10 kingdoms of Atlantis. It's just that one of them is not in the Azores, and I make that point in about 3 slides. Plato said, look at the elephant. Go to the next slide. There are no elephants in the Azores. There's no gold in the Azores. The next slide is misplaced. So let me talk about this real quick. Yes, the Rashad structure is, at least when I said this, Michael Donnellan had an outburst during the Cosmic Summit Atlantis debate. And I said, because of Mike Parker's findings, we can see here that the circles of the Rashad actually do have, if you overlay them, even though, yes, they are 4 times larger than Plato's dimensions, even though they're 4 times larger, the proportions are the same. I think that's an important thing to say. If you look at that one of the things I also wasn't sure about, because I always had information overload, I never really realized that the center island and then that next ring weren't the same one. Only until about a year ago, I made the decision that's the second ring out there. It's not the same island. That was even after I went. But I remember leaving the first one, going down to a low point and thinking, wow, we certainly are going high again. It's a lot higher than I would think for a center island. So I kind of changed my idea, and I agree with this slide. But going back to the 10 kingdoms, go to the next slide. This is where Plato says they were rulers over, yes, the 10 kingdoms. They were rulers over Tyrrhenia and even Egypt. They were controlling Egypt, but they also were rulers over diverse islands in the open sea. Okay, this is a statement made in contrast to a continent as big as Asia and Libya combined.
Wow.
That's my final point. If you thought, oh, well, when the Azores was Atlantis, during Atlantis time. Oh, and one more thing. Go back to that black and white slide, the second one. Yeah, go forward. The one, yes, right there. He names all the twins. There were 5 sets of twins to the mother, Cleito. I guess she was human, right? And Poseidon bedded her down and had 5 sets of twins. And then look at the name for the 5th set. Scroll down to the bottom. The name Azaeus. Perhaps that was the twin that got the Azores.
Huh. Yeah.
Okay, so I don't know. But if you go back down, I wanted you to continue past the slide we haven't seen yet and look at the next slide. That one's irrelevant. Yeah, even before the glacial maximum melted, there still wasn't, according to ChatGPT, enough exposed land to meet the dimensions that Plato wrote. But the fact that he said diverse islands in the open sea, to me, that's enough. I mean, there's so many more things to say. There were canal matrices Plato wrote about. There's canal matrices in the next couple slides that you can see. And then last but not least, something that was understood. Slide number 70 shows an ancient map. After all these, what the map's saying. The next one, right there, that map kind of proves something really important. And that is that this is not a Herodotus map. And this is not Plato. This is a map from the 1500s. Actually, we finally got a date in the 17th century, right? But this is what they used to believe as myth back then. For example, look at down below. You kind of see something that looks like Antarctica, but it's not. It's not Antarctica. It's what they believed at the time was below the known world. Was this mass at the south end of the they didn't know it was a globe. I mean, I think they knew that it was not flat. But the other 2 points in this map that you can see, and you can go ahead and go to the next slide because I spent 3 slides on this map, is that they used to have some beliefs about the Nile's course. Even the Herodotus map shows the Nile coming from here. It says Atlas Mountains, but live on my channel, I put it to the next slide. I put this in ChatGPT. Now, I don't know if you're going to get it to give you the same results. I put this, I'd already been looking at this. I am a linguist, so I already knew what this says. It says flowing from the Nile from, and I used to think that said Atlantic, the Atlas Mountains. profluence. So Nile from Atlas profluence. I put that into chat. I put that into Chat GPT, and you know what it said? Nile flowing from Atlantis. Nile flowing from Atlantis. So the ancient people, and by the way, look at the next slide is the Herodotus map. Thank you, Deborah. I know we're talking for a long time today.
That's my mom.
Okay, nice to meet you, Mom. Yeah, been doing a lot. Yeah. So even Herodotus pointed the Nile flowing from. Okay, remember, Herodotus did not draw this map. This map was created by his scholars who interpreted his writings. And this one, which I show the entire map elsewhere, maybe not in this slideshow, but I love this map. So look at me. Yeah, I love that map, but just don't think I'm trying to tell you Herodotus drew that. He didn't. This map was interpreted by his scholars. Let's go to that next slide and look at one more thing. This term ATL also finds itself in the term Quetzalcoatl, except for so ATL, in my opinion, might have a connection to the Americas and its transition into the Atlantis that we know now. I have no problem believing the stuff that, Hillman. I don't know. He's the main scholar looking at it. Does he control it? What does he? If I go there, can he take me there, or is he? I don't know his role. I know he's at the university.
It's a good question. We can, if you have a specific question for him, we can ask him. We'll be talking to him in about a month.
Oh! I thought you already talked to him. You did do a quickie with him, didn't you?
We did an episode of Cosmic Monday with him, but we're doing another interview with him in about a month. So.
Gotcha. Okay, so the next few. Let me see something here. Yeah, so after that slide, I showed the Piri-Reis map again, and I also want to say that the Piri-Reis map has a really good, very, very accurate version of the coast of Africa.
Yes.
Today, I'll tell you right now, that's not the coast of Africa before the Atlantic Ocean grew in it went up 400 meters, 400 feet.
Yeah.
I always get mixed up. I think it's 400 feet and 130 meters. So the sea levels rose. This is definitely after the sea levels rose. I know that from my own research. But look at the river right there. The elephant is standing on the Senegal border. The river there leads up to the Niger River eventually, but I think it starts out as a Senegal River. Does it really connect like it shows there? Not really nowadays, but once you go into the inland, down below, that's Mansa Musa. He is the richest man in the world. Up above, he's the Sultan of Marrakesh, and he's on this map. And right between the Sultan of Marrakesh and the elephant, that is the ancient Tamanrasset Paleo River, the river of gold. The next few slides shows this. Look at the Casablanca opening credits. Shows Rio de Oro. So you can see now,
interesting.
yeah, it says Rio de Oro, and it was called that for a long time. That name came from the Spanish, so that's why I got confused. So the French were in control. Now the Tamanrasset River is proven science; it's a real thing. So I traced it. The next slide shows it. It's a little sloppy. It's a little bit sloppy, but unfortunately, I did a lot of work with this with some other slides. So I'm not going to throw that in the trash. But look at the next one. The next one shows it the way it's probably mainstream. But I want to say one thing. If you look at the eye of the Sahara, you also see something that looks like the eyebrow of the Sahara. That big dark dot, that is an actual mining town. It's a mountain of iron. And the longest train in the world, they say, comes from that. You can get on that train for free and ride that train to Nouakchott. A lot of people do it. No, stay on there for a second. Go back for a second. But the Tamanrasset exited more closely, and I still think I'm not exactly correct. Take it a little farther south when you go to the shoreline. But don't forget, the glacial maximum is probably where the red line was. So the river probably exited a little bit farther south than I've shown here. Then go back up to the Piri Reis map.
Okay.
The Piri Reis map, it also shows that cape. I know the names of these capes. That little shoal of mud, that little island still exists. And the cape below it is called Cape Verde. It shows the opening of the river, and the cape above it is Cape. Oh wait, I take that back. The cape above it is Cape Verde. It means green, and the cape below it is Cape Timorous, and that is some Spanish guy's name. Anyways, I'm just trying to show you that even the Piri Reis map shows the probable shoal of mud that you can see. Go back to the river I showed with the red line. You can see there's an actual shoal of mud still there. The blue line goes right over it. It's a bird sanctuary right now. So I don't know. I was going to go there this last trip and look for that, but it's all covered in sand anyway, so it's very difficult. But the next few slides talks about how let me just make sure. The Tamanrasset River probably linked a lot more than just because if you say, hey, there was nothing up there, this is 300 miles away from the water, the Tamanrasset is the key indicator there was a source of water up there. And later I can even show you a canal that connects those two. So there are canal segments that show the matrix of canals around this whole center. So guys,
just a comment on general about canals, evidence of mining, evidence of agriculture. May not be as flashy and cool as big megalithic architecture, but as evidence of civilization or some type of society that knew what they were doing. They were doing things systematically and organized. If you could draw it on a grid, someone was doing it on purpose.
Listen, we've already gone through the next 100 slides. We don't get to slide 127 until we see something that I've shown in the North America. The truth is that I was looking at the Rashad structure all those years in Taiwan. I hooked up with a guy named Anthony Tustal at Zero Control on YouTube, and he, if anybody's a Google Earther more than me, it's him. That guy went through so much, and first thing he showed me was South Africa. So there's a few more slides talking about the Rashad structure, but the thing is that beyond that, it's important to me because I really think that the rest of the world needs to be taken a good look at. Even here, right around me, I think people even bigger than the Atlanteans, people more powerful, maybe the true gods, the Poseidons, they were doing something with land. The Sahara Desert's got so much. Over in Chad, in the Tibesti Mountains, there's something that looks like the profile. I call it the Englishman. The lips shows megalithic terraforming. In Niger, there's a bunch of circular dikes that I suspect there's a bunch of not even transport roads. It looks like they were literally dumping overburden. Overburden dumping is what they do in mining. And I can show you this in the Grand Canyon. The Grand Canyon over the Colorado River has the very top. But that's not where you see the quarry fields that I can show you. They're down below a little bit. The overburden dumping is scraped off. And they're doing this quarrying, these quarry lines in 3 different parallel lines. I show that in Algeria, and it's very close to the Rashad structure. There's stuff near the Rashad structure that's doing this. But as you get farther away in South Africa, in North America, it's even more rustic looking, bigger, older looking. The magmatic dikes. Have I talked about them already yet? I think I kind of mentioned them.
Not to us, no.
Later on in the video, I show that almost last because this is the most unbelievable stuff is these dikes all over the world. I was talking about it with Tyrone Ellington the other day. And stuff like what we're looking at right here, I don't consider those dikes, but that thing has one of the ridges going right through the center. It's a little bit awkward. It's not a perfect straight line, but right in the center, and I don't know how you can zoom in. Unfortunately, I don't think you can.
I can't.
Right in the
center
center of
already.
that. Yeah, you can't. You can always go to my Facebook page, but I wouldn't try that right now. to get to the exact location. It's not easy. But what I'm going to say here is from the top, from the north side, the north just kind of tweaked, like not quite 12 o'clock, but maybe 11:30. That's where this canal starts. It actually keeps going for miles and miles. It cuts through this circle. When it gets to the center, it makes that extreme southeastern turn and curves down and goes for miles and miles after that. And then, probably a different event, there's another little ridge. It's not straight, but it goes right through the center. It's a ridge. That's what I call a transport road. Now, I'm going to say that the other one that looks like it's coming from 9 o'clock, I think that is a sand dune, natural sand dune. And it's going across the whole thing. But, I mean, when you look at it up close, you're seeing a serpentine. Now I want to look at it again. Because it cuts through that canal. At that point, it looks like a serpentine squiggle goes up and down consistently. I don't know what to think about this thing. But one day, I connected it to the Rashad, and I backed out. I said, is that the ancient equator? And it wasn't, but it was perfectly parallel to the ancient equator. So, yeah, guys, I saw the chat. Please do subscribe to Mike and Dave's Multiverse. They were connected to Cosmic Summit. A lot of you connected to me because of Cosmic Summit, and I do believe if you really want to know about things other than the Rashad structure and my crazy ideas about what was happening millions of years ago, because I'll tell you what, the next few slides eventually are South Africa, and I think those are millions of years old. I say in the first slide, so go slowly until you see I can't unsee South Africa. And let's talk about it as a whole. It's coming soon. These are a new LiDAR scan. There are agricultural ridges / canals right there. And once I saw this, I realized a lot of the things I was looking at later on turned out to be dams or roads. Down by that other circle called the donut, that has that straight line. It's actually going across 2 waterways. And down below, there's actually one that I didn't circle that goes straight north-south. You can keep going, but these ridges are more prominent from the LiDAR scan. You can see them from the scan. So next time I go, I'm going to be looking for a few of these ridges in different spots, especially that one that goes at the angle down at the bottom. And that's a really good satellite photo. You can see so many things. Okay, so what I can't unsee in South Africa made me realize that a lot of that stuff that I just showed you actually could have been manipulated in an intelligent way by somebody. Maybe not humans. Go ahead, scroll through slowly.
So, Stig, you mentioned giants a couple of times.
Yeah.
Have you ever heard of these mud fossil theories about geologic formations that are the remains of enormous, gigantic creatures, mud fossils?
So
I've heard of these.
The Atlas Mount. Okay, so Mud Fossil University reached out to me a long time ago.
Yeah.
Like anybody who reaches out to me about flat Earth, unfortunately, I can't wrap my hand around flat Earth. I'd rather take the blue pill on that topic. Mud Fossil, yeah, the guy from Mud Fossil University, now I think he had to change his channel or something. I think he got canceled. He got unplugged. Back when Jimmy first came out, I was still in Taiwan, and he reached out to me and told me that the Atlas Mountains is a dragon. I can't embrace it. No, but I do think
it's like giants, but it's a whole nother level of giants that.
Well, even Michael Tellinger on his tours will point at a rock and say that was probably a femur bone of an ancient being. That was, and you can go into the ocean and crack open rocks and find fossils. So what he said wasn't necessarily a lie, but when you're talking about what you just said, mud fossil, he was kind of borderlining into mud fossil. It's just not something I can. But I just talked to Michael Tellinger on the phone a couple of months ago now. Are you familiar with his work?
No, I'm not.
Yes, okay, so he's one of the other leading advocates for.
I'm sorry, one of you said no. One of you sounded like you were saying yes. I talked over you, Mike. But yeah, Adam's calendar. However, I'm looking at this work and I'm not seeing polygonal like in Peru. So when I first saw this, I thought, it looks a little inferior. Well, he was saying millions of years old. Well, when I started working with Anthony Tunstall of at Zero Control, Anthony pointed me over there, and right away I started to see stuff. And you're going to see that. You can go slowly. I might, if you want to talk about it, literal terraforming of the mountains. You're not supposed to see triangles.
weird.
You can go slowly. Also, this intersection, the one on the right is the Koliyama, but I actually found two of these. Right at the top of the blue circle, there's this little notch where the guy driving that transport vehicle, it went from 50 miles wide to 25 miles wide. He made a shortcut, a little fork in the road. I can show you two of those. They're intersections. Now, the one, it's at the bottom of the question mark. This is the Kolonyama structure. It's in Lesotho, which is a landlocked country in the middle of South Africa, just south of Adam's calendar. And there is a triangle over there. And there's also a pit that looks breached or half. There's something made that, and something big. The little tiny white speck at the bottom in the green patch, that's a house. Okay, these things are ginormous. You can keep going slowly. I don't think this was Atlantis. I think this was pre-Atlantis. So I talked to Michael Tellendinger recently. What do you want to say? You can interrupt me.
I was just saying that there was a Rubate asked if it would be possible to crowdfund a full archaeological expedition and dig with Jimmy.
Let me just say, GoFundMe is good because you can get the money right away. The other one, what is it called? Crowdsource or crowdfund or whatever it's called. That you have to get to the end. That might be better for something like that, because that way you'd want to get like $100,000 and it can't be touched. Because I'll tell you what, I'm not gonna touch it. I touched the GoFundMe that was already given to me. It's just $900 something, but I thought I was gonna make it. Now, Michael Tellinger reached out. He finally saw my video. And he said, yeah, good job on this one video. So Michael Tellinger finally saw what we're about to look at right here. He also is hard to reach. I already showed you the mound, Stig's Mound, 1,500 feet wide. Keep going. We don't have to spend a lot of time on all this. There's several other mounds out there that look like this. Okay, now this we can talk about. This is the first time I could justify saying this isn't natural. Because what I'm seeing here is a natural amphitheater created by a water event or some other flood or maybe even wind. But water did that ancient shoreline. And then I think you can agree something else happened. And I'm looking at this. Now, I've seen other lines that I can say that's not natural. But this is the first time I could say one that looks kind of natural, still in a way, is more of a smoking gun. Something could have created that for a reason.
Yeah.
To a cistern. This is all South Africa. You can keep going slowly. There's several shots of that. I found that many ancient mining haulage roads, and the longest one is about 40 kilometers. That's the mainly Lesotho. It's in an angle. It's looking with west at the top. You can keep going, but I believe these are haulage roads. You can see how this time there's so many things you find. You don't have to spend a lot of time. I gave up. There's so much more, and I gave up. That's in the Sahara Desert, 94 miles. I zoomed back into that to see how wide it was. It could have been a canal, a raised canal. But you can keep on going. There's so much to talk about. These things start to gutterize. There's a lot of intersections. This is back down in South Africa. You can keep going. There's a lot of intersections. Yeah, there's so many more. The next one's really interesting. It's like you've got these triangles and all these different transport roads. And obviously, the plateau that's higher has been quarried away. And what happened to all that content? Where is it now? I mean, if this was erosion, where is it? And these things, you can see the houses. A lot of these transport roads are wider than the houses. These big buildings are industrial buildings. They're not houses. And those little white specks are houses. That's the Kolonyama again. I think this is one of the biggest things. There's so many more down in South Africa. Forget it. I'm not even going to try to show you everything. But what it says is that, yeah, the intersections, these shortcuts, I believe, that's a house down there. Those little white specks are houses. And it's like, what created these? And these are the same widths, by the way. The intersection is 100. I'm sorry. the intersection roads are about the same width, and then the shortcut is exactly 100 meters apart. So whatever created that shortcut. And yeah, Google Earth doesn't always get the angles right. It's a little distorted from Google Earth. But again and again, I can show you about 20 intersections. It looks just like this down there, where it's on the top of a plateau. There's no cities here. When you go there, there are a few roads, a few little villages, and they're called No Name Road. That's the name of the road, No Name Road. I finally visited. I found a place where you can go camping there, and when you go to the photos of these, you can keep going. When you go to the photos of these places, far away, it looks like if that is actually part of that original smoking gun I showed you. If you zoom in, it's green now from a different scan, but it shows even more of the ridges, and those ridges go on everywhere for miles and miles. There's so many of them. They're all over the Sahara Desert as well. Anyways, keep going. I can't talk about everything. Just keep going. We'll go slow. Let's get through South Africa. This is still South Africa. There's these channels. This is very interesting. These angled mountains. I can show you a few 90-degree angled mountains. Here's some here. Here's some here. They're not exactly 90 degrees, but how does nature do that? They're controlling water is what they're doing. Now, this is getting into New Mexico. So I was showing these things. I went to this one in New Mexico. I don't show the whole thing here, but the red lines down below show these dikes. They're about 12 miles long each. They're offset. They're parallel, but they're offset. And the ones, they go into the mountains. So if they were transport roads, they're going into the mountains and grabbing this content. Now we're getting into the part of the world where you might want to cut me off and say, David, we're not going to go here today. You're too crazy. We can see. Go to the next slide. This is a topographical version. I went there, and when I went there, I discovered something very interesting. Take a peek at the next one to see. Well, let me look at it. Yeah, this is actually in Colorado, these angled mountains. Okay, so go back. And I just want to say, when I drove there, I was driving around, and there is a city called Pie Town. You can go buy a pie. There's no gas station there. And I almost ran out of gas going there. But the point I'm trying to make is this whole place is destitute. And when I was driving around, I met these hikers, and I said, hey, what are you guys doing here? There were 3 of them, and they were like, why are you driving up to us and talking to us? I'm like, why are you guys hiking here? They're on a road, and they're like, we're hiking the Continental Divide. If you're my age, you remember the John Belushi movie called Continental Divide, where he found himself hiking it. That was like in the 90s or the 80s. And then later on, I was over at the other ridge. So the one by Pie Town, I spent a couple hours there. And then I drove over to the other one because it's about 10 miles apart. And I found another hiker. His name is the Hiking Viking. And I talked to him. Nobody stopped walking, so I had to drive. And sure enough, he was doing the Continental Divide hike. So both of these ridges, I believe ancient giants were actually creating the watersheds. And later on, up by Colorado, I found 2 more examples where it literally, that's not one of them, but that's very special. And I'll talk about that. Let's go through these pretty quick. Go to the quarries. Cut me off when you're ready to change the subject. I believe those ridges are created. And yeah, they're doing it to do the water. This is Randall Carlson again when he was talking about the quarries in the Rashad structure. This was shown. That's why I brought this slide up. You can find the video. He did it on January 2020. 2020. I don't know why he did it on that special number.
And 20 is a sacred number, of course. Everybody knows that.
Okay, there you go. And so they did it. Too bad there's not a month that could be a 20. So he showed this picture, and I had to come to the conclusion he was talking about this quarry site, but there's so much more out there by the Rashad. So I did make it. I wanted to go back. By the way, this is did you meet? Go back to that. Stay on that one that you just left. Did you meet Graham Langdon, the vendor? He also went to the Rashad structure.
The archaic lens guy, archaic lens.
Yeah, that's him.
I didn't actually meet him. No, I wish I have, but I did not.
He found these Paleolithic axe heads near my quarry. He found the quarry I want to go to. I don't believe those. Here's the question. Now go to the next one real quick. All right, so that thing right there is where I wanted to go. Now that's big stuff. Those are bigger than trees. Okay, that's big. Do you think that Paleolithic miners would create stuff like that? Or if you want to scroll back to the man standing next to that big stone, and on the way back, yeah, do you think that they use those small hand axe heads to create that stone in that quarry? I personally don't see how cavemen or hunter-gatherers, or however you want to label them. Now go to Graham Langdon's hand axe head, find it real quick one more time. I don't remember if you have to go up or down. Up, yeah, right there. Down, yeah, that's part of it, but go down to Graham Langdon's channel, the screenshot there. He found a cache of like either 10,000 or more. From what I saw, you could justifiably say maybe even 100,000 of these. They're like arrowheads, but they're handheld arrowheads used for scratching rock. I believe that Paleolithic hunter-gatherers used those to do something, but why would they have 100,000 of them? Those were just a cache laying in the middle of the desert near the thing I want to go to, nearby. The next slide shows where I wanted to go. It doesn't matter anymore. But what I'm trying to say is, yeah, that thing. I don't think those things could have created that. But if you look at the map where I have the red arrow, the things that he showed were only a little bit to the left. Very, very close to this grand 6-mile long thing that I'm trying to get back to. I think there were a series of events there. The first one done by giants, and then later on, the Paleolithic hunter-gatherers. And where was Atlantis in all this? Hey, I don't know. Maybe there never was Atlantis here. Maybe it was always Paleolithic. But I believe these grand canals that I've walked through were made by giants. They weren't made by hunter-gatherers at all. And yeah, it had to have been hit by something hard and disintegrated it. I think that my center impact theory is the best one yet. A lot of people talk about a tsunami. I don't like that, because how can a tsunami go 300 miles inland? Anyways, guys, it would have had to been a crazy.
It would have had to been a crazy ass tsunami.
Yes, sir. And yeah, a bunch of the slides I show next are all these quarry fields all around the Sahara Desert. There's like about 20 of them. And then it goes over the Grand Canyon. You can speed through a lot of those. Anybody can always ask a question. That's the one that I want to go to in the Rashat structure. Just go through quickly. It's very difficult to get there, and I believe those lines are parallel. That part, I think Paleolithic miners probably did go back in and make a little less straight. I think a lot of this stuff, it's not at the very top. They removed the overburden on the top of it to get to the stop. Go to the next one. That's not at the top of the plateau. The top of the plateau starts to look like they cut perpendicular quarry lines to start. I came up with a really good new argument when I was doing carpentry. And you got to make a couple of cuts before you can remove wood if you're trying to get wood. And so with that, same with stone. You got to make these relief cuts. And that's what I think we see there, those long ones. You can keep going. Yep. I'll tell you when it's no longer that area. I call that the Giant's Quarry or the Giant's Mound. Or it's just too perfect, man. Too perfect for wind to erode that. That's where Robert Schoch. This one, it looks very similar to the ones in Algeria that I'm about to show you. That's still the Rashat structure. But we're going to go to some other ones. This is in Algeria called Erdchek. How many sets of parallel lines do you see at the top of those plateaus?
Yeah, that's weird.
Also, those plateaus those parallel lines, it's not just one set or two sets, it's three sets. It's three sets of parallel lines. Because when you talk about how nature would do that with wind, and I know that Robert Schoch is not going to want to talk to me, but look two things about those. How many sets can you count? Find the triangles. The triangle shows all three sets. And then another thing is it goes over to the other plateaus. So those lines were created before the plateaus were created. Or, well, before the plateaus separated with a natural erosion.
Right.
And that's in Algeria. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, this is a weird one for me. You can clearly see the parallel lines and the triangles and all that stuff.
Okay, so the places that's located, that's the same spot. It's called Erdchek, Algeria. Yeah, that's the same place, but the scans are different. Keep going slowly. Okay, so obviously a machine like this, or maybe some kind of laser beam, could have been used to create cuts like that. Or maybe some other technology where they use chemicals to create the break in the rock. I don't know. I don't know how they did it. This is modern day.
How old it was, you'd never know, you know? We'd never know if it was 100,000 years ago. We'd never know, right?
Right. Well, with Graham Hancock, sorry, Randall, this is Algeria also. This is part of that serpentine I showed you. I think you're seeing two events. The first event was the serpentine, and then the second event, other people going through and quarrying those stones out of there, creating the relief cuts, but then still leaving the serpentine. I'm not sure. Keep going and look at more of Tassil Najer National Park in Algeria. That's from, yeah, there it is there. That's that thing I just showed you, but from far away. It's about 10 miles long. It looks just like that one that was going through the second set of circles. Mm-hmm. That second set of circles is the same parallel line with the Richat structure, but with the ancient equator. That little thing as well was like a serpentine, very long, mm-hmm. very up and down. Mm-hmm. And there's a lot of stuff going here. Lots of stuff going in Tassil Najer. I have no problem believing that was a quarry field. And it's a national park for a reason. Stuff like this, when you get up close to it, especially when you're in there, walking in there, I've watched a lot of videos on YouTube. Looks totally natural from the ground. But when you go from the sky, keep going. You're going to see this one part right there. Those are the same angles as the ones in Zimbabwe. But this is the same Tassil Najer National Park in Algeria. And right there, that right there has the matrix, the rectangle. I think that what they did is they took this quarrying on in different projects. They started with one big matrix, and then they took on the smaller little sections of it. There's so many things I want to say about that, but I think it's another smoking gun. Yeah. That's nearby. And I think there's a point where you can argue that this is not natural. It's been done by giants. It's been machined. It's been scoured by some type of an ancient miner. Not necessarily perfectly symmetrical, not necessarily north-south, but at the same time, I don't think that wind and water erosion can explain these. Again, we're seeing three sets of parallel lines here, not necessarily perfect in this spot, but we're seeing three sets of lines going in three different deliberate directions. Oh, and this is in Libya nearby. There's one place called Planetary Valley, and you can see that one picture shows concretions, but when you're up in the sky, there's also something happened here. Keep going. I think it's similar to some type of welding, where if you're familiar with welding, you get the slag that sometimes can be quite spherical, and I think that this stuff was being machined and worked. Mm-hmm. That's in Libya. All right, that's very close to the same spot, Tassil Najer National Park in Algeria. So something was going on. But keep going. I mean, since we're already here, there's some more slag. Keep going. That's more slag. That was, I can't even find that. This was found in the, this was found in the Libya Planetary Valley. We were just looking at it. I can give you, you're in the matrix. When you look at the way this is from up in the sky, okay? I think they might be overburden dumping, but instead of our dump trucks are 20 feet wide. When you look at modern day mining and you see dumps, there's three processes. You can go to almost any mine and you always see dumps. That's either overburden dumping or mine tailings, or That's pretty much it. Mine tailings is more of a paid dirt, which could still include something of value. Overburden dumping is where you want to get rid of something that's on top. Well, the way this is oriented, you look at some of the smallest circles in there, they're 250 feet wide. So if I have a dump truck that's dumping a pile that's 20 foot wide that you see in any modern day site, this is 10 times larger, if not bigger. So 10 times bigger. I'm not saying it wasn't humans. This looks too crazy for me to believe it's a human. This is Libya's Planetary Valley. But that's just one place. I think it looks like nothing else I've ever seen before. Canyonlands in Utah. Of course,
I've been there in person. That's a weird place on planet Earth.
It's very weird, and when you go there in person from the ground, it doesn't look like ancient mining or quarrying. To me, this slide looks like strip mining. It's very close to the trivergence of the Green River and the Colorado River. I believe that anytime they're up next to a river, they were using that water power to do placer mining. And in fact, they can go a little higher up on the river to get the water pressure. So they don't even have to have a machine to help them use the water. I think they may have been just dumping the stuff right into the river and then scooping it out. But what am I? This is quite hard to say with this one. However, take a look at the next slide and look at the next few. This is near Arches National Park, which you probably went to while you were there at Canyonlands. I think those straight lines are a little bit too convenient. Next slide.
Weird.
Grand Canyon, I found a bunch of them. There's also very interesting mounds. This one is not my favorite, but it also shows very symmetrical straight lines. This one, again, not at the very top, but if you've been in the Grand Canyon or if you go down to the bottom where the Colorado River is, it's not down there, it's up at the top. Yeah, this is another one. Yeah, you can keep going. This is in Arizona. You probably have seen this guy's video. He recently did a return to that place, and he got even a better shot. I haven't seen this
before. Where is this in Arizona?
He found on Google Earth first.
Go to the next slide. Wait, let me see. Go to the next slide. Okay, now the next slide, about two more, he went back. That shows his channel. Wait a minute. No. Okay, so I take it back. I found the guy's channel, and I took these first 3 slides from his channel, but I didn't give him credit. Shame on me. But he's out there. He's the guy that drone shotted this. The 4th slide, this POV channel talks about him going back. And look, if you look at the Google Earth, or what you see on the 2nd slide, the first slide shows him standing on the corner controlling his drone. Then the second one shows the kind of a Google Earth shot. That's where you look at it and say, wow, that could be natural, right? Those rectangles just aren't perfect enough. But when you look at what I've just shown you in South Africa and how they were doing this type of quarry cuts, that last slide that you stopped at before the Tibesti Mountains one that's a colorful, yeah, that one is just too perfect for me. That just blows my mind.
Yeah, that's
and also the fact that, okay, so these things, they fall down. Where are they? Where are the ones that are gone? They're not. There's a few of them that are tipped over, true. But there's a bunch of them that are not there at all. What do? They just disintegrated? So I think that there was some type of crazy, huge megalithic quarrying going on. This isn't enough to count as evidence, but I think what I showed you back up a little bit to ADHD kicks in. The Grand Canyon ones. The Grand Canyon 3 and I think that you start to see, if you follow the Colorado River, you see this type of stuff all along that. Now, the one that he did was in Arizona. I had to go look it up. And I did have the location. The Google Earth shots, they suck because they're taken from straight down. So any 3D rendering distorts the edges. So props to this guy for going out there and getting these shots. Otherwise, we would have never seen these before. I wish that you could do the same thing at the ones that I showed you in the Grand Canyon, because That's Arches National Park, and
Yeah.
I think they're highly sus. But the Grand Canyon ones, if you go up to the top, there's also a dual mound, and that's something that I think I show it later. But you know, I'm happy to talk. We've talked for well over 3 hours now,
Yeah,
and
this has been an incredible presentation. You got a lot of interesting evidence from all across the continent of Africa, really. So,
yeah. Oh, you know what? It's not far south. Slide number 184 is why I mentioned the 184. What you can do is take it out of the slideshow, and then you can see the slide numbers.
Yeah, because I
Or
can't
maybe
actually
when you
see the
hover,
slideshow.
it's down below just a little bit farther. It's about 10 slides down in the canals. There you go. Okay, so go to canals, and then put it back in slide. That's the one. Go to canals and put it back on slideshow. And what I want to show you is there is a canal that connects. That's just showing you that's science. These are estimates of ancient seas. The Maghreb Sea is the big one. The Taman Reset Paleo River. Going to the next slide, you can see the actual canal segment that
Weird.
connected, I believe. Now go to the next one. You can see where that was over on the right, where it says 3.5 mile exposed canal segment. This is my newest slide ever. I made this a couple days ago. Possibly brought water from the Taman Reset Paleo River to the Rashat through on the east side. On the east side. I believe that that's a shoreline. And anything you look at up close, there's clearly a playa lake showing a large sea. And last but not least, you can see the 50-mile long canal and the other two green ones. Those are the parallel canals. I walked down one of them.
Right.
So that being said, I just showcased canals. This is the canal section. You can go through it really quick. You can see a lot of stuff. When you get to the 50-mile one, you can see some that you didn't see from the people inside the canal. Those red lines are all canals. So there were canals there. Go to the next. It points right at the mouth. Look at the next one after that. Yeah, that's okay. Go to the next one after that. You can see people standing inside that canal. Next one. That's the Russians. That's them right there controlling their drone. And then you can see what they found, and that shows the teardrop thing. Yeah, go to the next one. You'll see okay, so stop for a second. So that shows what they found, and you see how it gets bulbous and large on the right, and it gets small and skinny on the left. And then what happens is it starts over again. I cut that part of the picture off because I didn't realize what I was showing at the time. So it's two of those connected together. It's two of those segmented together. And the next slide shows the part they cut off to test. They tested it. The results are in another video of mine. After that, you can see the canals I walked through up close. I want to show you something in this part. Go down to like 3 more slides where it's just two. Yeah, right there. What you see there is the two parallel canals, but what's right between them is the highest point in the Rashat structure. The next slide gets closer, and you can see that dark shaded area. It's the highest point. Well, what you can't see are these quarry cuts that are actually creating, it's hard to say. Go to the next slide. The highest point in that whole area, what I believe is a water wall, those two things I call twin peaks. The quarry cut actually goes from the highest point and goes over to the twin peaks and bisects those peaks. So the first time I went there, I was right there, but I didn't know. And the second part, you can go to the next slide. I need to rearrange these slides. You can see through the topographical, the highest point. Over on the right, you can see what I think was a serpentine water wall placed on top. It's hard to see from this. And what I did is the next slide shows something irrelevant. Those are the canal clusters that are up in Rio de Oro or Western Sahara. Go through those. You can see, okay, stop go to the next two. You can see these intersections up there. They kind of don't belong here. They're in the canal section. So let's just look at them real quick and then move on. Okay, the last
weird.
one is the next. That's the last one. But what you see are these ancient intersections, what I believe are canals. I can talk more about these in length, but just know that they're not in the same spot. Now, the next slide is what are called the Kalahari canals. So what we're talking about in this part of my presentation, that area, that's 250,000 square miles. Go to the next slide. Up close, when you go to them, you can see. Okay, we're going to have to check out the Mara salt mines in Peru. You can see in detail up close how these canals were something definitely not natural. These canals were going through Botswana, Angola, and Namibia, and they are part of the Okavango. You can see it in the drawing down below. There's a picture, and I want to talk about a couple things in this drawing. The Kalahari canals are in the Okavango Delta. Now, when was the last time you saw a delta in the middle of a continent? Secondly, the Orange River goes from Lesotho all the way across South Africa. And over in Namibia is the next slide. This stuff I also think looks highly sus. I mean, some people say, oh, those are sand dunes. I'm sorry, those are 200 miles long. Some of those, yes, they break up. Some of those are 200 miles long.
Weird.
So the next slide goes
200 miles long.
We're actually almost through the whole presentation. So let's finish it up, and then I'll give the reins back over to you. Water walls back near the Rashad structure. That's the next slide. When you use the topographic mapping, the first thing you see is the small one that kind of doesn't belong right there, right? And, I ignored it for years, but we started looking closer at that. I really do believe that that was a water wall that was put there. Part of my 50-mile long canal points right next to the end of it. Next slide shows that other water wall. It's the highest point. Okay, so the highest point, I call that Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. If you go to the next one, you've already seen that slide. See, that's because I need to develop my presentation better. Activities such as this help me do that. So thank you for that.
You're welcome.
But when we go down to the black and white one, you get to see the two mounds that are there, right there. Mm-hmm. I took a truck to those mounds, and I took pictures from the ground. You can see the bisection from the ground. Going down to the ground photos, the first one is from far away. And go down about 3. And you can see the two bisected peaks over on the left. Well, what I didn't know was those two peaks, one of them has a name. The other one does not have a name. But they are actually lower than the actual high point.
Huh.
The next one is the truck. I took the shot. I got the shot. I took a shot of both of those peaks, but they're so similar. I only showed one of them. Then the next one shows the water wall. It shows basically the peak that I was standing next to, the other peak, and then the water wall that's very far away. I think this whole area, what is that? Describe that. That's the water wall. I got that from the internet. Somebody took that photo and put it on the internet.
Wow.
The next photo shows it. Yeah. So I believe this long thing was like an ancient water wall of some sort. Very not beautiful, not straight, but all right. These water walls, the last part is my dike theory. North America, there's several of them. Go slowly, and I'll just narrate. I found 2 of them along the Continental Divide. The next one shows Willow Creek. They go to a mountain, Radial Mountain. Look that up. The other one, no, you were there. Look at, there it is, Willow Creek Pass. There's a sign that shows the Continental Divide. So when I saw that sign, it just dawned on me. These friggin' dikes are manipulating our watersheds in the Rocky Mountains, going from, I believe, not just New Mexico, through Colorado, up to Montana. I can show you these things, manipulating rivers, going across. This is called Ship Rock. If you have never heard of Ship Rock, you have to ask yourself why you've never heard of Ship Rock. It is taller than Devil's Tower.
Huh.
And it's got 3. It's got 3 beautiful magmatic dikes. That's the mainstream. Mainstream calls them magmatic dikes. I went there. We've got to start testing these dikes. What's making these? That road goes through the big one, and right before the road, I drove into it. It's not blocked off. You drive in. I drove all the way to the big part, the big plug in the middle. That's New Mexico. Just a reminder. Keep going. I almost killed myself climbing up to the Pie Town Peak. There's a little, I call them nubs, but I call them nubs because they're mountains that are attached to the straight line. Get rid of re-indigenizing minds. Re-indigenizing minds has a lot of great ideas. It's just that the comment's been up for a while. The reason he pointed out that one of these points right down to, I'll point it out later. This is another one. Do you notice all the waterways? You can see it from Google Earth. You can't really see the dikes. You got to do a little bit more precision from the dikes with topographical maps. But going to Google Earth, you can see the rivers. Go to the next one. No, okay. So this is where the road cuts through it. Okay. So that's okay. Keep going. This is the spine. I climbed to the top. I almost killed myself. I climbed to the top, realized I wasn't as young. This is the other one. I drove over to the other one where I saw the hiking Viking. This next one shows a shot from the top of Spanish Peaks. Spanish Peaks has these all over. The next one shows the angled ones. These things, you can't see them from the ground. I don't want to get into the details of this one, but watch my short. Maybe you saw my short that I did, focusing on how unnatural that is. But I believe it's an ancient maker's mark. On both of those angles, you've got one dike that, okay, so there's supposed to be, if you don't know what a geological magmatic dike is, the story goes like this. You've got a bedrock. That's sediment, right? It could have been put there some other way, but probably sediment. That's event number 1. Sediments, that's a verb. Sedimentation occurs. That's the first event. Second event is it cracks. So going back to the parallel sets where they're creating triangles, how could sedimentary limestone and sandstone have this DNA where the river or the wind and the sand automatically carves these parallel lines? I just don't believe it. But that's what they say happens. Then the next event is that the crack occurs, the magma flows into the crack, it hardens, and then the next event, the hardening is the next event, the crystallization event, and then the next event is the erosion of the original foundation of sandstone. We got like 4 events here. Okay, but now what you're looking at in this slide, the so-called dike, so these cracks are going to crack where the magma fills it, and what you're seeing is the dike, I want it to be in the camera, the dike curves upward and joins up with the other dike and meets it at the exact same level. How does bedrock do that on the first event? So I believe this is like an ancient maker's mark. There's more to be said about this, but we don't have more time, so let's keep moving along. But yeah, these are right there by Spanish Peaks, and there's like angles. There's angles there, not just these 2 spots. Okay, there's a few of them that are repetitive, so you can go through. Yep, you got it. And we're just focusing that, yes, to me, that's a smoking gun. This is called the Devil's Slide in Utah. I went there. I went to the Devil's Slide in Montana right there. And going back, this is called the Devil's Staircase back over by the Spanish Peaks in Utah. So we're learning that these things, and also this one that you got showing, that's called the Stonewall. It's right south of there. The next slide points out that perhaps these things were laid out in a geopolymer fashion. You always see these layers and it's natural, right? I don't know anymore. Anyways, that's it. I'm going to just say the next slide that's black and white shows I'm finding these things going across water all the time. I was just talking about it in my previous video, and we pulled out, these are all over Colorado, the Rocky Mountains. The next one, I did go to Sagewall. The next one down at the bottom, that's Sage Wall. Go back one. Down at the bottom, that's Sage Wall. But at the top, there's these other circular dikes. Okay, now you can keep going forward. I couldn't get to them, but I already knew that's me at Sage Wall. I was so fat. I lost 40 pounds, guys. Let's say 35. Today I'm
Did you ever
35
find
pounds
them?
light. But yeah, that's me. That's a real photo. But I was so ashamed of how fat I was. See, look at me now. So go to the next one. I created that next slide to make me feel better about myself. So let's just say ChatGPT is good for some things, and the only problem is that it just isn't getting me like me. I need me when I was 20. Okay, go to the next one. Yeah, I went to Sage Wall. No, yeah, and there were these flattened nubs on the back. Chris Collins, Wandering Wolf, he didn't make it to Cosmic Summit, but he was going to come. He went back there with Jimmy, but they didn't talk about these flattened nubs on the top yet. And I'm like, guys, geopolymer, ding, 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 ding. They don't think so. They don't agree with me. But the next slide shows that these okay, good night, Shoria. Yeah, and there was a couple of them that were missed, but we were just basically showing these dikes. And I believe, keep going straight, there's all over the Sahara Desert. That's in Russia. That's in Argentina. Sorry, I was looking away, so I got probably. I don't know where those are. And hey, man, maybe they are natural. But look at this one. This is in the Sahara Desert, south near. I think it's in Sudan. And to me, those are so big. But they're going across waterways. How many waterways can you count? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. They're trying to control the water. Eventually breached by the water. These things are so big that you're going to be calling me crazy for the rest of my day. For the rest of the day, you're going to be like, this guy's nuts. There's no way humans did that. But we'll get through it. We'll get through it. We're almost done. I mean, you got through the main part. The last one is in Telebit Mali. Yeah, these are like so big. I don't know how humans could have done that. And yeah, they're so not beautiful anymore. Did they really have a purpose? Is it just overburden dumping, or is it literally somebody was trying to manipulate the land, trying to build mountains? Are they ancient mountain builders? Okay, now the next couple might convince you that I might have something here, because those are hard to get away from. That one right there. That go ahead back to that one. That one was the first time I said, "Is that natural?" That's Zimbabwe. Is it natural? I mean, am I crazy, or am I seeing a parallel set of mountains connected by a very similar set of angles? Just like those angles I showed you, next slide, in Algeria. I mean, is it possible that, yeah, that's what re-indigenizing minds said in our other video, that they're aligned to the, and I'm going to have to check that. I tried checking once. There's a lot of mountains in the way, and I checked it at the end. I'm not sure if he was still in the video. Thank you for repeating that, re-indigenizing. I actually, well, I'm not looking at the chat anymore. Okay, so those angles look very similar, don't they? They're not the same place. They're not the same size. But is it possible that those angles, and they're not the same angle. I've already taken a protractor to it. They just look similar. Mm-hmm. But the fact that we're seeing, that's Algeria. Now, this is the last big thing. Telebit Mali. You look at those lines going straight like that, and before you zoom away from that, what I want you to know is when you zoom in there, and don't go away yet. The next one, go ahead. The next one, go ahead. It shows a little closer, but just a little bit. And this isn't, no, too far. There you go. What you're seeing is lines of piles of rocks. Lines of piles of rocks. And they're right next to each other. This is in Mali. There's very close to some circular dikes, some semicircular dikes, a croissant dike. But these lines of rocks, they don't make any sense. And I finally found some photos from the ground. That's these next few photos. But before you know it, these lines of rocks have actually been not just placed side by side, but some of them are going over the other ones perpendicularly. So you have to go to the Google Earth. These piles of rocks are so different from any of the other. I wouldn't call those magmatic dikes anymore. I'd call those piles of rocks. So is it possible that Mansa Musa the richest man on earth? Because this is in Mali, where Mansa Musa was from.
Yep.
Is it possible he inherited his wealth from giants who took those piles of rocks and they dumped them out, and they were creating mountains with those piles of rocks? That's really all I've got to say. Not something that I can explain at all. They don't correlate with Atlantis. They don't correlate with a lot of stuff. They don't even correlate with the magmatic dikes because they kind of look like the stuff in Namibia, maybe.
Yeah.
Well, it's all right that you can't explain it all, because one of the things that we're trying to do with this platform is start asking good questions. There's a lot of good questions that still need asking, and you have presented us with a plethora of information that should inspire everybody who's watched to start asking some good questions. And you did deliver all the answers that you could within reason for us, and for that we appreciate you.
We've only been live for 2 hours and 45 minutes. Wait a minute. Wait, don't do this to me, Dave. There's only a few slides left.
Oh, okay. No, I thought you said I don't have anything else.
I know. I promise. It's almost over. It's almost over.
I'm ready.
It's because I want to say a lot of stuff about the Rashad structure. Go to a local cataclysm slide. That slide right there was the last thing I was going to say, because a lot of my viewers, the Rashad structure, especially if you include the donut, I'm not saying that if you know what the string of pearls is, it's something that happened to not Neptune. I'm sorry, Jupiter. The string of pearls. Look it up. But we do have other impact craters all in a row, just exactly next to the Rashad. Okay, so I call it the Mauritanian string of pearls because all those craters are in Mauritania. And yes, thanks for still being here. Looking at the next one, I just want to say, don't forget, I'm not saying that go to the next slide. That's okay. We're going to finish very quickly. I'm not saying that the Rashad structure itself was a meteorite impact. Because of the cymatic structure that you see, and I don't even have it on this. I don't even have it in this presentation. There's cymatic things there. I believe it was possibly a Birkeland current.
Yep.
Maybe I do have it. Go to the next slide. But first thing I want to say is that crater I already showed you, I believe that is a meteor that somehow was attracted to the same spot. So maybe there is something that attracts this to, yes, electric universe attraction, but yes, impact structure, just like what happened in Jupiter. Jupiter attracted those impacts to create that pearl of strings. Mm-hmm. Perhaps it's on a ley line, number 20. The next couple slides show a close-up, and then a satellite view, close-up, and that's it. Oh, yeah, and then the last thing is kind of my final thought. So, yeah, keep going. So you can see that impact, how it changes. That is, okay, so a lot of people looked at the Sebket El Gueb and said, oh, that's not a circle. No, those are what do you call it? It's always on the tip of my tongue. Alluvial fans breaching the rim of that crater right there. When you get a little closer, go to the next slide. You can see how there's 3 breaches at the top. There's one on the side. You can't go testing the alluvial fans. That matter came from other spots. You test what's in the middle. That's what the Russians did. All right, so there's 2 more topographical shots, and then last is this lightning strike. I did leave the cymatic. Those are the alluvial fans, very clear. You can see the alluvial fans. You can see how circular that is. I believe that's an impact crater. I believe that's what destroyed Atlantis. Now, last slide, 4 slides. What created Atlantis? After the blank, there's a lightning strike on a car. Cymatic notes. Okay, I don't have to explain these slides. But if you don't know what a Birkeland current is, it's basically a planetary discharge. It's also possibly a sun, a star. We can take pictures of stuff with our telescopes and take pictures of Birkeland currents. This is more of a lightning strike. I grabbed that from somewhere. But is it possible that is what created the Rashad structure, not the next slide, the Sebket El Gueb? That is an impact crater. And that's my final thing to say. I'm not even going to look at my my presentation's over. That was 296 slides.
Bravo, Stig.
Nice job,
Oh, thank
Stig.
you for doing it. You know, this is really the first time I haven't controlled that. And by the way, you didn't want to do 3 hours today. You guys want to do an hour. But we did it. You might have 2 episodes you can, or maybe we can create another episode to answer the questions that the people ask. I gave you a lot of content. I don't know what the chats have all said, but I definitely will be checking.
Speaking of people, thanks to Shaman 711, Jeff Up North, Grambino, Rubate, Tammy K, all for participating in the chat today. It looked like Brittany had mentioned in the chat at one point. Hello again, Britt.
As well as
everyone.
Tyrone,
Tyrone.
Renee from Holland is watching again. Thanks so much for joining from Holland. And yeah, no, you're good. I don't think we need to this was much better than like the interview I had planned. So I really appreciate that we went live. This was, for those of you who don't know, this was a surprise live stream. We only typically do our live streams on Thursday, but Stig put us live on his channel. So we were like, fuck it, let's go live on ours as well. So anyone who stuck around and watched, we really appreciate it. Lots of stuff to look at, lots of stuff to think about.
So much to talk about.
So much to talk about, but the wrist shot structure is an anomaly, and it's one of the leading candidates for Atlantis. And if you look at Atlantis the way I do, and I think the way Stig does and a lot of other people do, it's not just one spot on planet Earth. It's like, an ancient civilization, and, wrist shot
I'm sorry to interrupt you. I was just doing a live stream with Tyrone Ellington a couple of days ago, and the mounds, we didn't talk about those. There's things all over this Earth.
All over.
Everybody needs to look at Google Earth. Okay, if you don't want to say I'm a Google Earther, fine. You're looking at satellite imagery, and satellite imagery is the key. And I believe eventually it's going to be covered up. The satellite imagery that we're talking about today is going to get covered up because the puppet masters don't want us to understand our ancient history. And there's so much to see all over the Earth, all around the world.
Yep,
for sure.
Until then, we're going to keep asking good questions. Show us interesting stuff, and we'll keep asking good questions.
Yep. And check out Stig's YouTube channel at, what is it? Stig Hansen, David Stig Hansen, at David Stig Hansen.
Yep. You can, at Stig, so you got youtube.com/@Stig, youtube.com/David Stig Hansen, or go to my website. I've got a link. I'm trying to kind of navigate it. I'm trying to get more. I got a terabyte of video that I've never even uploaded to my YouTube channel. Stuff from the recent trip, the Atlas Mountains. I'm probably going to start putting some of it on Patreon. And I'm going to pander to the Patreon members because YouTube's not doing it. I suggest you guys do the same thing. I think that Patreon and affiliate links is the only way to support your journey to not just monetization. Because once you're still monetized, you're going to hit your highs and your lows. And my best month was $1,400, and one of these days I hope to make $10,000 a month. I'm making $7 a month right now, $8 a month on YouTube. So I did the GoFundMe for my last trip. I got detained, but it was a failure. But I'm still gonna do GoFundMe for trips.
Well, you get a tremendous amount of clickbait from the whole detainment thing. You can make thumbnails and video titles and make some of it back that way.
But I do appreciate your passion for all this stuff, Stig, and hope to see you next year at Cosmic Summit 2026, number 4. Would love to have you back there, man. And thank you so much for coming on the show. Thank you for sharing with our audience as well. We kind of swapped audience tonight on the restream, so we really appreciate it.
Yeah, go sign up on their channel, guys, because I'm telling you, everything I've said about Cosmic Summit is not complete. They've done better coverage. And not only that, I've seen the other stuff you guys did before Cosmic Summit. You got a lot of important work out there that I've seen. So, yes, please. And your website is, what is it again?
We're at Mike Dave's Multiverse on YouTube. We're on Rumble. We're on Spotify. We're on Facebook. We're on X. We are on Instagram and TikTok. So check us out.
Mike and Dave's Multiverse.
Yep. Good night,
All
everyone.
All right, are we out?
Yep,
are we saying
done.
good night? We're done.